back to the Talos of Tech podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special guest star today. He's the creator of the iUpdate YouTube channel. He created Apple Track. He also invented water, if you can believe that. He's here. You love him. You know him. Randy Vasquez, how you feeling today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Randy here. And I'm having a good day here in St. Louis, you know, just hanging out here with my new iPhone. And I gotta say, it's not as good as I was thinking it was going to be.
We also have Sam. How are you?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I do some music stuff sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, cool. We'll flip around.
Yeah.
We appreciate Sam for writing
Sam,
the music
Sam,
for
I really
today's
appreciate
episode.
you writing the music for Taylor. That it's really good.
Some of the best composition I've
Phenomenal.
ever heard. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming back and replacing Nick. People have been asking for this for a long time.
You know, Sam, I have one conversation with you just a couple days ago. It's been too long. And then all of a sudden, I swear this was not premeditated, but I'm like, oh, what are the odds? You got to go, Nick. Make room for the new.
Well, hey, I mean, I pulled some strings. I know a couple guys, and I was able to get on the podcast pretty quick. So thank you guys for having me. I'm honored to be here. Two of my favorite people that create stuff.
Oh, wow.
online.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So we
No, go on.
we're all pretty big fans of this little startup company called Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, Sam, as a whole, as we're coming near to the end of 2020, has this been a fairly exciting year for Apple, or has it been pretty disappointing as a whole, or a little of both? Or
I think it's been a little of both. I think there's been a lot of dead space just because, you know, the energy without like actual events have been kind of weird. But I also feel like it has been really exciting. Like the fact that we got 3 events, I'm not gonna lie, it was like cool. Like for 3 months we had something to look forward to. Like I don't remember the last time like we basically knew for sure in the middle of October that there's gonna be like one more thing, and even though the one more thing is kind of a weird event, and I feel like the consensus, like I've watched your video, you were just kind of like, yeah, it was kind of like just very straight to the point, very spec based, and which is like what it was. But I think it was a good year. Like for what 2020 has been externally, and for a lot of people personally, I feel like it was good.
True.
But
I think I'm in agreement.
One more thing. We have a one more thing to the one more thing. We have a theory, Sam. Tell us if it pans out here.
Okay.
What if we combined all 3 of those Apple events and it was one singular event sliced up, which is why Tim Cook doesn't come in saying good morning the same way he would do prior and like WWDC and stuff like that. And the one more event, if you look at the timeline, because one thing that kind of was lackluster for us is how short these keynotes were. Unless it was all filmed, we know they weren't filmed together, but they were pretty short. Do you like the shorter and more frequent Apple events, or would you want a 2.5 to 3 hour Apple event filled with all the Apple Watch dancing and all that combined? What is your preference with it?
Well, an Apple event has never made it to gold star status unless the members of U2 touch fingertips with Tim Cook. That's generally my benchmark. But, you know, they've fallen short in recent years. That being said, I mean, okay, here's the deal. From a content creation point, I think I like the smaller events because I feel like Drew would agree with me. It's like you can make it more palatable for yourself. Like, I don't know if you do this, but like when there's an event over, I'm literally like, okay, there's like, you know, like my livelihood of the channel, like kind of related as to how quickly I get this video out and how accurate the information is. And sometimes you have misses and people are like, it's actually 4K 5994, not 4K 60 that they're doing. You know, people get like, it's like, okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to aggregate all this info. But like, it does make it more palatable. But as a fan, 100% the longer events. Like as a fan of the company, because like you get to just sit there and you're just like, oh my God, they did this. Like, you know, there's 3 of those moments versus like, I mean, for me at the last event, it was like, oh, the Mac Mini. Like no one reported on that. That was like a complete surprise out of nowhere. So that was a really good moment. But I like the longer events. What about you guys?
I think I'm in agreement. We got to capitalize on the launch of the iPhones like 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah. There was like so much built. Here it comes. This could be it. Nope. Okay. Here it comes. This could be it. Oh, now it's actually here. But the Mini and Max don't come till later. Here it comes. So we get to stretch it out. From a content perspective, it's kind of helpful But yeah, in agreement.
It has made
as
the
a
last
fan.
year, or the last quarter of this year, it's made it more content worthy for just to do the news coverage of it, and it does. Are we doing a sprint or are we doing a marathon? And in the marathon format of it, we can kind of plan our days a little bit better now. I remember we'd wrap an event, say last year, the same time last year, and we rush and scramble, and Drew's got to do the dedicated video for Talos of Tech. Then we got to immediately jump into the podcast, and everything was rush. And if it was a longer event, we really had to, like you were saying, Sam, we got to make sure we get as much as possible, get the information right.
Yeah.
Whereas if we got 2 products each time, we can have better time to dissect it and talk about it for a couple days to a couple weeks until we were planning for the next event. And from content creation, I like the idea of, I'll take something every single month, absolutely, but I don't want it to get diluted. My fear is that WWDC was so good that after that, diminishing returns was like, whoa, this event. Oh, that's it? Oh, boy, this is... Wait, why are we talking about this for so long? M1, 5G. This the whole time, it felt like it was getting a little bit more diluted. Yeah. But I'm not going to complain one way or another. I will complain every time we don't see Craig up on stage. Wow, how cool is that? That's when I'll start throwing my tissy fits.
Yeah.
That made the event for me too.
For sure.
It was good, man. I think they need to utilize Craig a little bit more. Me too. I'm team Craig for next CEO whenever Tim retires in a couple years.
Yeah.
And, we'll see. But
hopefully it gets more stage time.
Yeah. I know. At the very least, we need more Craig.
Our crack marketing team went out and did it again.
What would you say biggest disappointment for the year was, Sam?
Biggest disappointment.
AirTags?
Hey, don't say never.
Don't.
Listen, I am fairly confident we're going to see at least AirPod Studio before the end of the year.
Really?
Yes.
That soon?
I think it's going to happen.
Are you wearing them right now? Are you?
I broke my whole NDA just to do the show.
I knew it. Thank you,
dude. I wish. That's such a. I feel like that's just a. Like, do you guys dream of like getting sent products early? Because that's definitely something that I wake up every day and I'm just like, my inbox. Is there an email from just tim@apple.com? Like.
I feel like
I did unironically have a dream about AirPower launching once.
Once.
I just remember waking up and thinking, "Oh, that came out, didn't it? Oh no, that was a dream." That was
Yeah. I don't know. Biggest disappointment though, like, I mean, I really like AirPods, so I was kind of hoping we would see some new AirPods this year, and like it hasn't happened yet. But as far as stuff that's come out, I mean, maybe just 120 hertz on the iPhone 12 Pro.
Thank you.
I was really
Someone's on my
excited for
side
that.
here.
I was on a podcast talking with like Renee Ritchie, Farouk from iPhone Do, Viper, like that whole gang. And I was like the only one that was like, no, but it should have 120 hertz. Like we should have gotten that as a feature this year to be competitive with Android. They were all like, yeah, but it doesn't matter for people. And I was like, no, I get it, but like, I just feel like that. I feel like we should have seen that this year. I would have rather had that than 5G. Like straight up, I would rather had that than 5G.
I'm forgetting now how similar we are.
Yes.
Remember when we would tweet video thumbnails at like almost the exact same time with the same picture?
I swore there was some plagiarism happening here. Because if it's not the race about who's going to hit publish first, it's the thumbnail. Hey, wait a minute. They're using the same blurry background with the same MPG. Okay, no.
Yeah.
What happened was I am a big fan of the H3 podcast, and I was scrolling through the comments, and then I see iUpdate commented, loved this one in particular, and I was like, wait, Sam's watching the same podcast as me now? Like,
it's so good.
Get out of my head!
Yeah. I'm following everybody around.
Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement though that 120 hertz should be a thing when you're spending that kind of money on a phone these days.
Yes.
And no, it's not something the average consumer cares about, but that's what the 12 and 12 mini are for.
Thank you.
That's for the everyday. The pros can have the promotion, right?
Thank you.
Something tells me it wasn't in their control.
Yeah,
That's my running theory.
I also feel like I mean, and all the rumors said that like they were trying. It just, I mean, to be fair, like I think it literally would have killed the battery. Like I think the battery life would have been
probably
cut down by like 20-30% if they put it on.
Because it wouldn't be the LTPO panels.
Yeah,
so
we need that just like the watch, so it can do like the always on.
Right.
Kind of stuff.
And the panels, it also would have made more sense in the lineup because I still find it pretty confusing that the 12 and 12 Pro have so much in common. And I feel like that was not the original plan, you know?
Yeah.
This plan would have made more sense if the Pro had 120 hertz and
Yeah.
the 12 didn't. But because they don't, it feels like there was some effort being made behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
It's really hard to recommend the 12 Pro this year. In any use case, if you do side by side, if you're trying to be as analytical as possible and doing from a cost analysis, if the only thing that you're giving up is not just a stainless steel and the matte glass on the back, but telephoto, to me, it's a hard drive when we've advocated. Drew and I would talk about it all the time that the 11 Pro meets all those check marks and then some for being a better bang for buck if you're doing it from a cost analysis point of view. It's a hard sell this time, and like Drew said, I don't think it was in their planning that it was going to be that similar because the 12 is really darn good. Oh, yeah. And the 12 is meant to be in my eyes, 12 is meant to be the mass. Like, here's what from your grandmother to somebody who just here's that phone.
There's no suffix. It's the default.
It's that mini's meant to be like, we're gonna get creative and because we can, screw it, let's do it. And then they do that. And where you have the pros comes in the pros where you would have thought you would have had the higher refresh rate, you would have had the better camera array and the premium quality of stainless steel.
Yeah.
I feel like Apple isn't expecting 12 Pro to be the successor it was, like how 11 Pro had turned out to be. That the 12 Pro Max, if you want the 12 Pro Max, if you're gonna go 4 figures in the price range now to buy it, now you could be like, well, for this much more, getting the 12 Pro Max, bigger battery, bigger display, biggest display, biggest everything. Now we're
it's huge.
Now Max has Max lined up for all the reasons and sitting on the checkpoints, but otherwise, 12. I don't know. Yeah.
Is the Max what you're using now, Sam?
No, I returned it. It was way too big. Yeah.
Really?
You're gonna contradict me.
I'm sorry, I haven't.
His
I
main is the
apologize. I
12
haven't kept
Pro.
up
He's contradicting
with
me.
your videos as closely.
I didn't actually. I don't even know if I mentioned it in a video.
An exclusive.
Yeah, I know, shocking. But yeah, I was also.
What's your default?
My default is a 12 Pro. That's my favorite phone. For
Oh,
sure.
interesting.
I mean, it's not that bad. I guess it's okay.
No. Listen, the 12 Pro does. I don't think it makes sense. I completely agree. My friend who is not into technology. I mean. No, he's not. Like he's like an acting person, theater, like, but like also likes to be like trendy and savvy for like, you know, new Apple products. So like
sounds like a cool friend.
He's a great guy. Shout out to Colin. And he, on like day 2 of the phones being out, was like, got my new iPhone 12. I was like, oh nice, you get like the 12 or the 12 mini. He was like, oh, 12 Pro. I paid $300 extra even with my trade-in to get it. And I was like, ooh, what? I was like, why did you get 12 Pro? And he was like, oh, you just don't really have a better phone than you, do you? And I'm like, no, I mean, maybe that's part of my psychology. But on the real, like, I was like, no offense, but like, I don't think you really need, like, you think you could have saved money and you would have been just as happy. Like, you were coming from an 8 Plus. So like, this is a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
Now, listen, if you had the iPhone 11, then okay, I can see where you'd want maybe those bonus features now. And it's like, he basically was like, yeah, the telephoto camera. And, you know, the nicer design. But honestly, the more I touch the iPhone 12, like it is, do you guys feel this as well? It's significantly lighter than the Pro.
Yes.
Like
I never held the 12
okay.
actually. Well, I guess I visited Model Y Mike. His wife had a 12. But yeah, the aluminum makes a massive difference in weight.
God, dude. It's like, I'm like, I want to use the 12 because of the weight. But like, you know, I do like the nicer finish. I do like the stainless steel. I do like the
So you think that's a nicer finish?
As far as feeling premium. Matthew Panzerino at TechCrunch had this great headline that said 2 gems, 1 jewel. And that's just really stuck with me because I completely agree. I think both these phones feel incredibly premium, but there is something about that Pacific blue and the blue stainless steel that that has gotten me, like, it's stupidly enough.
Yeah.
But like anytime anybody asks me, I'm like, get the 12. Like it's one of those things that's a bit hypocritical because I feel like I'm like, well, I get the 12 Pro, but nobody else could have the 12 Pro. But,
everyone must be worse than me.
Yeah. But like, listen, if like these were people that like, you know, I don't know, I guess could easily have a couple bucks laying around and weren't like, oh, like this is like a big portion of like my, not savings, but you know, fun money that I'm spending, I'd be like, yeah, get the 12 Pro. But I like you were saying, Randy, like I agree. I just feel like it's very hard to justify the 12 Pro. Like if money isn't an issue, it's like, well, you can buy the Pro Max and you don't care. But if you are like, oh, like, you know, this is like an investment for me, like it is a lot of money, I just feel like the 12. I feel
So
like
we haven't chatted in a while, but have you been on the Pro Max side of phones for the past few years?
No, actually never. I've always
so
felt
you've always
that it's too big.
more towards like the 6-inch.
Yeah. I actually was on my daily driver for the past few years has been the 5.8, the 11 Pro or the 10s or the 10. That was my perfect size. And like this sounds weird, but honestly, the 6.1 inch is like, it's just like barely where I'm comfortable for a phone. Like, and I tried the 12 mini, and the 12 mini is too small. Like I was like, I want a little bit more. So I feel like I'm that like 2% of Apple's like research and design that was like, yeah, we just want the 5.8 inch screen that was actually perfect. But I honestly,
I don't think it's that small. I think there's a lot of people like you that preferred that 5.8 inch. That was the sweet spot.
But I do like it. Like I like the 6.1 inch. It is, I think, the best size for most people.
Yeah, sure.
That 5.8 design, what it had going for it, and one of the things that Drew and I did like an unboxing and first impressions, and the first thing it was like we didn't premeditate it, and when we held the phones, we were like, this is uncomfortable because of the sharp edges, because it's so big. And where the mini came into favor for me, I have always been the regular Pro size, and the curved edge is like, this is so comfortable in the hand. Even holding it, I was like, this feels good. When I was demoing the Gold 12 Pro, it was just, I didn't like holding it. When we unboxed the mini, it's small, but because it's small, better gripping, I feel more control in it because it's so light and it feels balanced and it doesn't feel very top heavy. I think the 12 and 12 Pro, the design of it doesn't really mesh well with if they were doing okay, we're gonna get a group of 100 people, hold this phone, tell me your thoughts of it, and 90 people said, yeah, it's good enough. I'm not sure that would have been the case, because most people, what you said, Sam, I agree. The word I keep hearing, even outside of the tech community, asking daily people who I interact with, is it's not that comfortable. They're like, I liked the 8, I liked the 10, I liked the whichever that had the curved edges. It just felt more comfortable in the hand. And when they slap a case on it, maybe at that point they're not really carrying all that much, because now you got different grip factors happening in there. But for people who are going caseless, like myself, I'm like, you know, it's. I thought I wanted this. It works. If it makes sense for the iPad, it made sense for when I had the 5S, and it makes sense for the Mini. I'm not sure I'm vibing with the bigger display, because it just feels like I'm holding a iPad Pro Mini or something with the Max. It's just like I don't, there's something that's not connecting with me on it, and I don't know. I guess I like everything else will adjust in time, but the comfort part of it, I keep finding myself wanting to revert back to the 12 or the 11 Pro, because I'm like, that's optimal design, camera, battery, color, everything about it. I'm like, that is my go-to phone. But this year, I chose to do something different, step away from best camera array, and I wanted to challenge myself for the next 10 months and get the Mini to see, could I do it? If it doesn't work, then 13 or 12S or whatever it may be, then I'll cross that bridge when the time comes. But
that's cool.
I'm doing a little bit of a personal challenge, and caseless, portless. I'm trying to do just MagSafe, and I guess it feels like batteryless because it dies so quick. But
Yeah, what are they going to call it, Sam? 12S or 13?
yeah, Apple Tracker. I got some bones to pick with you about.
You would know this.
I mean, there's no credible rumors yet of any kind for naming. I don't think. Well, I mean, maybe internally, like high up execs have talked about a name. I don't know, but if you've noticed what they've done, they haven't done an S phone in a minute. Like since 2018, we've gone
18.
Yeah, we've gone 2 years, which I mean isn't that long, but like
in tech, it's almost obsolete. In tech news, it's obsolete.
Yeah. So like
that's most of an Android's lifespan.
I feel like they're gonna do 12S just based off of
Me
like
too.
thinking what, because like we've already heard the rumors about like same design, basically same cameras, a little bit better, 120 hertz on pros, bigger batteries in some. Like that sounds like an S year. Like, and they're gonna do a couple cool gimmicks with the cameras, like HDR 4 plus or something, where just the new phones get, it'll be just
HDR
enough.
slow fees.
Yeah, it'll be just enough. The Slofi gang is gonna be coming in hot. But
That's the most 2021 Apple slogan I've ever heard.
Yeah. But
HDR Slofi.
Yeah, 12S. I've never done a Slofi. Have you guys done a Slofi?
All the time. Every day.
Every day. First thing you do when you wake up is just...
Yep.
I have some self-respect
Well, I did it for
there, Drew.
a phone review at one point. I was laughing so hard. I just did the slow-mo on the front, and I just put a bunch of water in my mouth and then just spat at the camera. And I think I included it in the review.
Nice.
It's somewhere. I got to find it. But
yeah.
So you say 12S. I think I'm in agreement with you, surprising no one.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 13. I'm going to play devil's advocate, 13. And here's
You
why.
think they're done with S's?
I think they're done with S's because everybody, the names are just names, but when you look at Galaxy and when everyone's trying to just incrementally update with just pure numbers now, on a marketing standpoint, it just makes sense to adjust to the next year's number the same way they do A14 and then A15. You can have your suffix of Bionic or Mini or Max and whatever you want to be from there. But from a marketing point of view, it would make more sense to just kill the S. Because what does S even mean anymore? Back then, it meant for speed and then Siri. Yeah. And then after 5S was security, and now we don't know. And then 6S
stops bending.
Yeah. So I feel like S was just a thing we threw out there to say, oh, it's part of the branding, but
I think they always used S for like not a big design year.
But that's when they would update design every 2 years then. But now it was looking more like every 3 years.
Now they're doing the super cycle.
So it makes more sense to just change the name, and thank God they moved away from the Roman numeral because that was not sticking. I want the iPhone X. I want the XR.
Yeah,
XS.
that killed me. I got slightly angry every time one of my friends. Oh, you have the X. You have the X.
I'm gonna punch you in the throat right now if you say it wrong.
And
again.
I was like,
XS Max.
I got mad about it for a day, unironically, and then I was like, wait, these people are just reading it as it looks. Why would I be mad?
That's the thing. I can't blame them.
Like
that's how it reads.
That's how I would have read it if I wasn't an Apple fan. I would have been like, "Oh, iPhone X. Oh, okay, cool."
Only reason we know it's 10 is because we watch the events.
Yeah, and you watch maybe other YouTubers, and then you're like, "Why is this person calling it the 10? I don't get it." Like, but at the same time, maybe that was a good. Maybe they knew that, and they were like, marketing wise, everybody will be like, "How do you pronounce?" Because I feel like I had a number of conversations just with people randomly, and because then they'd be like, "Wait, is it X or 10?" Because I've heard both. And then you're like, well,
did you make a sell, Sam, when you had those conversations? Did you sell them? Because if you didn't, it's terrible marketing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
marketing becomes this blanket statement for good or bad.
Yes.
Marketing.
Yes. Marketing.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be.
It's just marketing.
It sounds cooler if you would have said X. That's why we were like, ooh, X. When all the leaks were leading up to that, we thought it was X because that sounds cool. Ooh,
8.
yeah.
We actually thought it was 8 for most of the year.
We did.
For the record.
We did.
And then we got 8.
If you go back, I'm sure you can watch a million of Drew and I's videos that were like iPhone 8 full screen design, facial
You got
scan.
the iPhone 7S coming out with glass back and
every
wireless
day
charging.
you would get a report on Touch ID being in the display or no Touch ID or actually it is Touch ID.
Side button Touch ID.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Do you think we're going to get that next year?
I actually do. I think we're going to get in-screen next year. Because
that's a good
Ooh,
move.
in-screen. Oh, you don't think side button?
Just because Love to Dream, who is... I don't know. I know very little about this person. But, like, we've actually talked, and he's a very cool person.
That's nice.
And I don't know how. He knows. Like, he knows what they're doing. And he knows, like, very far out. Like, he was talking.
Let me pull up his Apple track here.
Yeah, he's like 90% accurate. But, like, you know, he tweeted that there was going to be Mesa UTS iPhone, which means, you know, underscreen Touch ID. And, like, there's already been some preliminary stuff about Touch ID next year, just, like, speculation. Because, like, I don't know. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, what are they actually going to add next year? Like, they did the big design. They did, like, you know, the screens are basically as good as they need to be. I don't see the resolution or pixel count. Like, I couldn't imagine needing better. They do HDR now. You know, like, I just feel like... that's going to be something, and it might be pros only. That might be something that Apple starts to differentiate the two.
Ooh,
but
maybe
because I was also thinking, I think they're going to keep Face ID as well and do like, we care about privacy, so you have 2-step auth to get into your phone. If you want to have super secure iPhone, we'll do a face scan and Touch ID to get you.
True. I feel like anyone who could fake a fingerprint reader could probably fake Face ID too. But you're right, it would be very difficult.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I think he was it Love to Dream who said that the iPad would have under display Touch ID?
He did.
At some point?
He was wrong on that one.
Okay.
I feel like that might have been like a prototype thing that just never happened.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of prototypes we hear about that don't come out.
Oh yeah, and that would be so fascinating. Like I have this fever dream that like Apple will just invite a bunch of YouTubers into their lab and just show you like show you 120 hertz running on an iPhone and be like Apple Lab exclusive. Like that would be so neat.
That would be neat. They probably would know we would not shut up about it though.
Yeah, and then we'd be like, "Well, it was in the prototype. We saw it."
I had this hope, or I don't want to say a hope, but similar to that, I guess you could say I hope that they do this concept where with Apple TV Plus and they do their originals that they do. I know, Drew, you love it so.
You just reminded me Fitness Plus isn't out yet.
Coming very soon, right?
Soon,
still soon,
but not out yet.
December,
at the time, December. Well, wait, this podcast goes up 30th.
The day before December.
Yeah, the day before. Yeah. Okay, so it's not out yet. So Apple TV Plus. I would love to see a documentary series with Apple doing in-house designs that led up to the release of that year's phone or Mac or anything like that, and they would document the series so that way we could see behind the curtain a little bit in an obviously biased way that is putting them in the best spotlight. But the way I remember pitching it, I pitch it here all the time, is that they're very big on the whole 1,000 no's to every yes. And we have questions. Why didn't the refresh rate, why didn't ProMotion make it this year?
Yeah.
And instead of us speculating or just brooding about it, how come, why is it so this and that? It would be cool to see a series, an ongoing series that showed the internal conversations that were being had. Even if they're trying to, preserve some privacies about, future designs and stuff like that, we can't make it this way because of this, or we're working it on that. So it's obviously one big gimmick of being a marketing tactic of it, but it would be cool for all of us to be able to understand behind the curtains, the ideas of things being so secretive and, we don't know. Those days are done. Now we have leaks and rumors galore. The days of iPhone 4 leaking and Steve Jobs saying you have something that belongs to that's done. Now we're in a very different world, and I think Apple can get ahead of the curb and actually, in a way, leak themselves, but in a way that's kind of hyping it up to something. Or they'll document
Google does
the previous
that.
one.
Yeah.
Very badly, by the way.
Yes. I was just gonna say, does it work? Because I feel
That's a
like
good
Google
question.
tries to do it, and honestly, I don't know. something that
it nukes your present day sales
Yeah.
if you're showing future products. So
How's
you would
it
have
any
to do
different
like
than
the
when they leaked the iMac Pro themselves before happening, or saying, "Hey, Apple Silicon's coming for so they'll make an announcement."
Yeah.
I agree.
Why not?
I think that's a bad idea.
So if they approach it that way, because you get that effect, Drew, that effect that we
Jason
never,
Bourne.
There you
effect?
go. Something that just kills off the anyway. If they're gonna do it anyway, go all in. Don't dilly daddle on the shallow end. Get in there and make us hype for it then, because we're gonna cover it regardless. We're gonna speculate anyway. So control the narrative while you're at it. That would be cool.
I feel like I feel like I'm a mix of both of you here, because I do wish that Apple was more forthcoming about future products, and specifically like what features we would get, or even to the designs or something, like, you know, just like a teaser, like I don't know, back in the day when they had like in
Like
the
Air Power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. But yeah, like because Apple hates leaks, and they hate rumors, and they don't like people that leak their products. And like
Right.
I absolutely understand that, because if you are working on something, like when I was working on Apple Track, like I made very care to like not show it very much at all, just because I not only did I not want anybody to take the idea while I was working on it, I was also just like, oh, I don't want to release something half done, because like, what if it takes me another year? What if it never gets done? You know, because then with the AirPower situation where they did get really excited, and Apple was just like, well, we got smart engineers, they'll figure it out. But they couldn't.
Only our team can do it.
Yeah. So I get that Apple doesn't want stuff to share, but I also know that like this community does wonders for Apple throughout the year. And it's always a bit disingenuous to me that like I get why they don't pay attention to us, but it's like we are hyping their products up relatively broadly for 365 days a year. Like
not even relatively.
Way more than Marquez, way more than Jonathan Morrison, way more than any iJustine, who are all great people who I watch regularly. But you know, Apple treats them as like the sort of the gods and goddesses. Yeah, the elite. Which again, I get it. Their videos are significantly better. Like they're incredibly talented. But there's this
whole snowball effect, though.
Yes, there's this other community. Like we get the base people excited, then they get to the medium-sized people, and then, you know, it leads up to that early iPhone hands-on, where it's like, oh my god, now this person that I love has it in their hand. I remember hearing about this on Drew's channel or on the Telosa Tech podcast 6 months ago, and oh my god, that looks, you know. So I feel like Apple could capitalize on all of this better. Like I feel like they could have levels to their influencer marketing instead of just doing the top people, and I feel like it could be way more effective. Like if you just throw like little bones to small channels that then get picked up by bigger channels. Then Marquez is tweeting about it. Then it gets picked up by 9 to 5 Matt. You know, like
kind of like Tim Cook if he acted like Elon Musk on Twitter. It was just like
exactly.
Next year's iPhone will do such and such.
Yeah,
and no one would manually go to Twitter and check replies for that. But we would be the type of people to be like, "This is happening."
Yeah. And I feel
there's a market for all our levels, or like if it's a tier system and you have the Marquez and and everybody up there, and they are the highly polished, signing a million NDAs, have these things weeks in advance.
Yeah,
they have snipers.
Yeah,
pointed.
You will say let's go.
Yeah.
So for those guys, and it works, and they've solidified their spot in that tier.
Yeah.
Bumping down, and there is a place for us small fry to have the same coverage from a different point of view, from a certain point of view. But my fear with that, Sam, I agree with you, but I think it's the same reason why they turn off comments and rating systems on their site, because they at the end of the day they want to control that narrative. And I'm like, just look at our history and see how we cover you guys. Our only claim to fame for anything that we love to beat into the ground is that this podcast made it in a iPhone 11 ad, and I was like, if we could,
that was
be
so cool. By the way,
I don't know if 7 frames of our,
but I literally was like, this is the coolest thing that I've ever, like when you tweeted that out, I watched the video and I was like, there's no way. I was like, this has got to be a Photoshop.
I didn't believe it either.
We didn't believe it either.
That's Drew's. Oh my god, that's Drew's podcast. Like, oh my god, that was insane.
if they,
And Renee Ritchie's too.
Oh,
it was
what?
right there.
Damn, that's incredible.
It was right next to it. Yeah, I was pretty amazed by that.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
on the subject of Apple Track, I just wanted to say in person and on the record, genius idea.
Thank you.
Job well done.
Thank you.
I think that we absolutely needed a site like that, and I'm glad that I don't know how you make time for it. Like,
but I
the
do
amount
have
of
some gripes. I got to be
updates.
honest. I have gripes.
Okay.
Why?
I'm doing the good cop. He does,
I'm coming in on you. Yeah, but well, where were you? No, so here's my gripe.
Okay.
Why don't you have Tailosive Leaks on there? It has a proven track record of 100%. People
We
need
had to
to
bring it
know.
Are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
I could censor it later.
There's some shit posting that happens on that account, and
what are you talking about? It's all completely real.
I don't know if I followed it. I think I may have just seen it and been like, I already have so much crap in my timeline from the 70 other fake Apple Leaks accounts that somehow
No.
get featured on Apple Insider every single day.
I get it. I get it.
But I think that was hilarious.
I do have a question
thank
for
you.
you, Sam. A genuine question for
Yeah.
the track. When do you? I noticed the red, the yellow, and the green that says pending, confirmed, false.
That's a smart system.
It is a cool system. My question is, at what point does the yellow no longer leave the yellow if the updated information then becomes? At some point. When does it say, I don't think this is a valid rumor anymore, or a leak, that it's being promoted to either in the red, or it's getting promoted or demoted to the red, or promoted to the green? When do you decide the validity without any tangible, here's the evidence? If Apple themselves do not come out and say it, how long does it wait in the pending before it advances or moves down?
Well, it's a tough call to make because technically,
I wouldn't want your job. That's all I'm saying.
yes, it could always happen in the future because we cannot predict the future as humans yet.
Sure.
But I hope we get there soon.
Accurately. We can predict it.
Yeah.
We can't get it right.
So it's one of those things that I look at case by case. Like,
Okay.
you know, and there's a reason that because at first I was like, I want every person who puts out leaks to be on the site. And then I was like, okay, because I actually did this with one account. I won't call them out by name because, whatever. And I added them for a while when they were just fresh and they were putting out a lot of information and some of it seemed credible.
It's me, isn't it? No. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And then I was looking, and then events came and went, and I was like, oh, this person's complete,
Yeah.
They're just speculating. They're just guessing. This is not something that should be in the public conversation or public forum about this kind of deal.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I feel responsibility that by highlighting this person, I'm sort of giving them credibility at all. By their name being on the site, it's like, well, they are 3% right. So when they put out this weird rumor about an OLED iMac coming next week, it could, and it was like, it just became so silly that like I was reading through these leaks and I was like, oh, this person is just they're just playing around. Like they just want to get,
Sure.
And it's crazy because
followers.
It does work. They're getting 10, 20,000 followers. So I look at everything individually.
20,000.
Like if somebody tweets something, and this happened for CoinX actually, and then I think I went around and maybe changed it because remember he said one more thing at the last event, and technically there wasn't one more thing, but then Mark Gurman was like, hey, the one more thing at this event as far as things that we didn't think we were getting and we are getting is going to be the iPad 7. So that was a case where I can't remember if I marked it right or I think I changed it to right because I was like, well,
that's a tough one.
I was like, well, technically it wasn't a one more thing as in Apple's going to say that, but it was a one more thing as in no one really said this until Mark Gurman threw that out.
Right.
So I was like, by dual
And he didn't
corroboration-
exclusively say like, it's going to be at this event.
Yes.
He just tweeted one more thing.
He alluded, but wait, there's one more. Yeah,
Yes.
He made that love to dream type of like ambiguity of
Encryptic.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of those conversations I'm having with myself because I feel like I've seen fair criticism of the site. a couple very big people have been very vocal to me in the DMs about how they feel they're being treated unfairly, and really just one person. But like, I've explained like, hey,
I'll stop.
I have to make this. I have to make this fair for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that your stuff is calculated this way. One of the biggest concerns I've heard is that, if somebody puts out a new claim, the way the site is set up now, the old claim is invalidated. So if, for fun, I started putting out leaks, and I was like, okay, iPhone 13 is going to come in a bright fluorescent yellow. And then 2 days before the event, I said, actually, it's going to come in a dark blue. I was wrong about that. Like, technically, the way the site is set up, on paper, that would be, okay, invalidate the last claim, I'm right 2 days before. Which I haven't seen anybody gaming the system yet, because that's obviously the concern, is are people going to start just putting out stuff for attention, and then they change it when they have the right information? And I haven't seen that yet. Like, I have not seen anybody that I track that has been doing anything like that. Now, as soon as I do, then the rule's going to have to be tweaked for that account in particular. But like, it is tough, Randy, like you said, because like I've sort of described myself as like the arbiter of truth. And it sounds goofy because it's like, we're talking about leaks. These are supposed to be fun. And it got kind of serious and like intense. But also like Mark Gurman, John Prosser, Love to Dream. Like, these are people whose track records like really do matter. And like, Mac Rumors 95 Mac, when they put out stuff, like I've wanted it to be still really fun, but also to the point where we can still care about the stuff we see and know how much to care. Because like, that's why I made the site. I was like, this is way too confusing. There's so much stuff happening, and it's really hard to keep up. Like, nobody really knows.
How much time do you put into that? Like, how invested in the behind the scenes before you just you publish a new update to it and then retweet it? How much? Because I have to assume that if you're not making the iUpdate content and you're not just doing your own research for iUpdate, I would assume that you're constantly sifting through how valid are this information that's coming through. I need to go back and update this. Are you going to bring on a team? I'm sure you're doing it all by yourself now, but how do you manage all of that?
Yeah, I really have been trying to strike a balance. It's gotten better. I feel like generally my thing is like, wake up, read what happened, decide if it's worth reporting on Apple Track. Because I don't cover like everything, just because like the whole point of the blog is like only what I think, not what I think, I guess kind of what I think matters, but like the news that I think is relevant. Like, when I see an article or just a byline about AirPods being delayed, I'm like, ooh, is somebody who cares about that product, I think that deserves an article because it was buried in somebody else's article. And that's like why I do the bullet point journalism, like, for good or bad. There's fair arguments on either side. Is that a good thing or a bad thing that we're sort of dumbing down content? For me, I got tired of reading articles on other websites that were 5 paragraphs with auxiliary information. So
that's what I love about your site. It's very simple.
Thank you. Like,
and if I'm not mistaken, you link where you got that information anyway, right?
Yeah. And if it's
so,
from a source,
you could do the bullet point, and if they want to do the deeper dive, you provide a reference for them to go look at. So it takes, for lack of a better term, it takes liability off of you about reporting or not reporting. And if they, and in a situation, I don't know if this happened, but if somebody wanted to go back later and delete the tweet, well, then that's
there's a record
on them at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's. It's one of those.
Hey,
things.
man, I commend you for doing it. The jokes aside, I appreciate what you've done with it.
Thank you.
And I wish the site success. That's a big order right there. That's a big play. Good on you. You're a bigger man than I for willing to put that. But I appreciate that you are making the way I said it. Maybe I don't even know if I've ever said it even on the show, but it's like the Wikipedia equivalent of just wanting to go look at the information just to see not just track records of who's their accuracy, but also just to see what is the collective group saying. Even if the collective group is going to be wrong, it's interesting to look at the archive and go back and I want to see, how was the 12 mini reported? Did anybody talk about the Mac Mini at any point? Like, I would go to that site to see how much of it actually was being able to be controlled in-house by Apple and what did get correct. So I spent you're getting a lot of Google AdSense from me because I'll spend a lot of time on there just researching it because it's interesting. It's a cool archive, and I hope that it flourishes and it's successful and I can't wait to see it evolve over time as well. I appreciate the cleanliness of bullet points, and it's easy to understand and navigate. And I look forward to seeing how it moves, throughout the next couple of years. But my God, I can't even imagine with you doing that. That within itself could be a full-time job to compete with like a Mac Rumors or 9 to 5 Mac. But to do that for you to do your YouTube and stuff, you must love to be busy.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's definitely too much. Like some days, like when it's just like rumor after rumor after rumor, I'm like, I need a break. Like this is a lot.
Sure.
But like the good thing about it that I like, because like I definitely am like I crave like the instant like publish thing. So I'm always like, some part of my brand is getting content out there immediately, and like an article will always beat a video. You cannot compete. Type send. It's like a tweeting is way faster than doing a video where like, hey guys, what's up? So that I like, and I like just reading Apple news different, but it's a lot. And I for a while was like, oh, I should probably have somebody on, but lately like the ad revenue has gone down like 80%, and I don't really know why, because like the ads have not changed. Because like for a while I was like, oh, like this could definitely support like a very small like 1-2 day a week like part-time person.
Sure.
Like nothing that like a salary. I'm not making that much money, but like something small, a hobby, a passion project. And then now it's been like, oh, you made $4, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
I might have to check on my ads or something. But
do you think it's because maybe down? We're in a down season now.
I also think it's probably that, because there really aren't rumors right now. Nobody's caring. Like everybody's looking at the current products for Christmas and holiday and, and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I'm glad you guys like it, and thank you. It means a lot. I'm glad that it's
well, of course. Thank you, and thanks for making time in your schedule for us today. I appreciate that. But I think that on your point about people reaching out to you and saying how much that site impacts their reputation and stuff, do you feel like that validifies the legitimacy of like, this isn't just me playing around with a website? This is like people that I'm reporting on actually care about these tracks and these percentages. I think that proves to people how much credit they give to you.
Yeah, I thank you, because it is cool. Like I had two of the biggest people that were like, hey, I'm going to be more careful with what I put out because of this. And I was like, wow. And I was like, oh, I mean, that's good for everybody.
Oh, like, Sam's changing the game on how leaks are presented.
Which is like,
that was not me.
Which is, I always question if Apple Track was my best thing I've ever done or my worst mistake, because I do have a desire to work with Apple in a professional way, and and I fear that maybe that's hitting a little bit close to what makes them uncomfortable. That I perhaps shot myself in the foot a bit there. But
have you ever been in contact with Apple?
I don't know if this is a dream, because I can't find the email to this day. But I would swear on my life that at one point I had sent, this is in 2015, an email. It was like, hey, and it was literally to like tim@apple.com and somebody else on his team replied, and they were just like, hey, like your videos, keep it up. And like, I can't find the email. I think it might've been an old email address or something, but like,
I see.
Since then, like nearly every press release, I just reach out for like additional question, comment, and you don't get anywhere. But I got really, really good advice from, I reached out to somebody who like does get products. And I hope this provides perspective to you, Drew, because the way that they phrased it was like 5 years ago, getting stuff from Apple was completely different than today. Because 5 or 6 years ago, Apple was in a need to get coverage. Like that was like something that they kind of needed, because they were popular, but like there were so much more competitors in the game and so much misinformation about, now they concede it to just a few very influential channels. Like you said, Randy, I meant to sort of circle me back to this conversation, because I totally get Apple's perspective of how they do it. They want to control the narrative. That's just being intelligent and being good at public relations. Like if you give something to everyone, that not only makes it seem less exclusive and exciting, it's like, oh, you got some real, risks you're taking here with people that maybe aren't as by the book, maybe that are a bit more untraditional. So I get it. Like I see where they're coming from, and props to them for doing the best thing for Apple. Like I think that is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think You could overdo it very easily. I tweeted about it, I think, back when, like there were a few of those days where all the iPhone 12 videos drop at the exact same time. And after watching 2 or 3 of them, I start to think these are all kind of saying the exact same thing. Everyone's kind of bringing up the same point. So if you wanted to expand it to 100 channels or 200 channels, I can see why, like, it'd be kind of weird.
Too much.
If everybody's...
I'm not
Everybody's
necessarily
saying the
saying
same
give us
thing.
an iPhone 12, but it would be cool for us at our level to go back to like what you're saying, like what Sam was saying. You were saying that going invited, come look at the software. How cool would it be that we got to demo Logic or Final Cut on iPad? Something like that.
Ooh,
that
would be cool.
Me being heavily like I purposely as a challenge to myself, I don't use plugins. I use everything native within Logic when I design any music at all. And it's a choice of trying to be creative.
Yeah.
I like putting restrictions because in a world of information where it's all out there and you can get anything. I mean, you could even pirate anything if you wanted to get that sleazy about it. I used to do those challenges in GarageBand, and now I purposely only use native plugins that come in within Logic, and that is my
really
playground to work with. I would be the biggest advocate towards being able to promote and say positive and also negative. I'll be fair about it. If we were to have the opportunity to use these pro applications on the iPad OS side of things, I think most people are anticipating it. I know you have people like John and others who have said that this stuff is coming to iPad, and people like myself who love using Logic. I've been waiting almost as long as I've been waiting for a 4-port MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. So I'm being patient. But at some point, I would like to get my hands on it. And I feel like instead of just sending out products and having the same unboxing and review with those top tier guys, for us, I would love for us to get our hands on software that's in a beta, that we do the same beta.apple.com, and we can experience and provide feedback from the creatives themselves who are going to use it.
Right,
I don't expect my uncle to open up Final Cut, but I expect us to try Final Cut on iPad. So stuff like that. That's where I feel like we could fit in the future of Apple when it comes to feedback, promotion, and us getting our finding existence and relevance in this career path as well. It'd be awesome to use.
I think you're onto something there, because I feel like that would just be a really smart. No, for real, like a smart strategy. Like give hardware to the whales and give software, which is generally more niche. Like iOS 14 will always be more niche than iPhone 12. Final Cut always more niche than the new cameras on the iPhone. Like seed that to smaller creators who will be extremely passionate about, if not more, because I feel like there's a lot to, like, usually when you're on the come up, you're more passionate about what you're doing than when you've made it to the top. And of course that changes and that's different for everybody, but that's just what I've seen and what I've experienced. Even like, when you hit that 100K on YouTube, like I feel like something in my mind changed just a little bit. Not like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, but more like, oh, like, is this a job now? Like, is this okay, yeah, this is like real. Like, this is not me just goofing around in my room anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of like they could do, how they have developer beta access at Worldwide. Imagine if they had like a press beta access, like if you're at a certain size or you're a certain level of influencer, then you get access to the betas really along cool. with the devs and that kind of thing, to just talk about the latest software features.
Yeah, that'd be
and there wouldn't be hardware. So
and I'm not saying give us the full iOS 15 or whatever now, and save, because those leaks. Well, it's hard to leak software like that, so I like being wowed when Dub comes around and like, oh, look at that, that's so cool. But certain applications I feel would be instrumental for feedback, because it also helps Apple as a company, as a business, to not just put themselves in that bubble where they just are doing things from in-house with their own engineers and people who are trying it out. You get outside use and feedback, and I think you can make a better end product when it comes to that, the same way we could with hardware. But the where that stemmed from about the software thing is that hardware has its limitations in the sense that it's kind of slowing down. It's no longer as innovative as when, oh my god, look, it's now we're excited about folds and what 2-in-1s are going to look like. But the core functions of hardware is pretty much plateaued because we're at that peak tangible side of things. But software, there is no limit.
Yep.
And I'm always more excited about the software and what can we do with the software within this iPad. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do a podcast today without using the software that we have for the iPad, and just being able to run things on our Macs and stuff like that. All that to say that software and giving us the opportunity to give the feedback gives a better end product for the hardware than hardware alone. What are you going to do? Give me a better sensor for the camera? That's expected. Better battery, longer longevity, refresh rate, which at that point kind of becomes software too. It's almost expected, and you're getting diminishing returns. Whereas now you can in live time move from Mac OS and continuity port it over to iPad OS, and you can still work on the same video when you gotta go. So maybe you don't need this certain MacBook anymore. I can see creativity coming from these challenges, which is all software based at that point. Yeah. Which Apple has, I argue they have the best software. So if not them, then who? Yeah.
I feel like this might be an easy crowd to sell that to.
Yeah, for sure. On that note of iPads and MacBooks, I have a video going up later today that the audience has seen, but you guys haven't. I'm curious to pick Sam's brain because I haven't seen if he's commented on this yet. But do you think the M1 chip could find its way into iPad Pros? Because you would know. You know all this information. So
I want you to know that nobody actually tells me anything. I'm just like the computer that like separates everything. It's like red color, blue color, like little shapes and bins. That's what I do at Apple Track. But
no, you know everything.
Yeah, okay.
You're from the future.
We'll leave it there.
I will say, Sam, I come to you for like I do depend on your feedback. You got me last night playing around with widgets and stuff. This guy, like you're my go-to source. Where Drew is everything theory
nonsense
and future base and covering big picture. Sam, your niche is definitely like in the moment. Here's what you can do with besides outside of the leaking part. Just what the iUpdate stuff is like. Here's what's out in this iOS, and here's what you can. And then you make me like I'm not gonna download that. I watched the video and I'm downloading wallpapers and stuff, and I'm playing around with it, and like he's in my head. Yeah. So you got you're in my skin. So that's where I'm like, no, Sam knows because Sam knows everything.
Well, it's the two perspectives that make it most fun, right? Like something you can do now, and like what I just love about Telosiv videos is like, what does the Apple sheep think about this? Like I literally find myself like as soon as an event's over, I'm like, what did Drew think about this today? Like I'm really interested, and like hearing you guys on the podcast, then I'll talk, rush to talk about it the day after is really cool, and that's what makes it so fun. Like I love both perspectives, and that's just why I love like the tech space on YouTube. There's like no drama. We all seem to like genuinely care about each other and what we do. And it's so great that there's very little toxicity, if any. Which is
for the love of the technology and the enthusiasm, we're all optimists when it comes to this stuff, which is why I think there's so much passion that kind of comes into it. And it's hard to like you don't want to have bad blood just because like there are times where Sam, I'm watching your video and I'm like, I know before I even go watch the same video that Drew put out, I know he disagrees with it, and just to see the points, I'm like, it's not coming from it's like, well, this guy's dumb. It's like, here's my use case of it, and then here's this use case of it, and it makes for a very thriveful experience as a viewer, because you're like, oh, I never saw it from that point of view. Oh, that's there's that and this. So. But about the M1 chip, what do you think?
I mean, I need to know, I feel like to answer this question accurately, more about the architecture between A12Z and M1. How similar are these chips? I don't know if they're the same nanometers. I think M1 does have more transistors than A14, right?
So, M1 is a 5 nanometer and A12Z, I think, a 7 nanometer.
Yeah, but the A14 is 5. But I think it still has more transistors than A14, right? I think there's a few million more.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm in a weird place with the iPad, guys. I have an iPad Pro somewhere. I use it like pretty frequently, but I am still a Mac guy. Like I love the Mac, and like now that we've seen M1 in the Mac, my main excitement for the iPad was like, oh, like video export times, optimization from hardware to software. But now that we have that on the Mac, I don't know. I don't see Apple's master plan yet for where the iPad is going to go, because they keep calling it a computer, but then they just put an even far superior chip in the Mac, and that is a computer. And then you've got the mobile computer in your pocket and on your wrist and in your ears. So I don't really think we're going to see it in the iPad right now, just because then it's like, well, you know, but then again, maybe it would be touchscreen Mac versus, you know, hardware Mac. I haven't said much in this like minute that I've been talking. I don't know. Because I
saw you.
We said nothing for hours.
My gut says no, but my brain also says Apple could do it because it is a great chip. Like I don't
That's
know.
what this episode. This is what this show's about, Sam.
Yeah,
we talk
yeah.
out loud as we rationalize,
I love
and then we come to a conclusion. I don't expect you have an answer, but yeah, rationalize it out loud. I think I agree with you in the sense that I don't see it happening. And to answer your question, Drew, because I know you didn't ask me, is that the fact that we have an M1
Too
chip,
afraid to ask you.
because I'm always right. I'm always right. The M1 chip kind of proved to me that there is going to be a separation with iOS and Mac OS, and whether we call iPad OS, it's still an extension of iOS through my you know, observations of it. And I feel like M1 it proved that like they meant to be separate. That they could have easily done an A14 ZZAQ and push it out and be like, here's what we can do now, and it could have done phenomenal numbers. But the fact that they made another dedicated chip, even though they're reusing the M, that Mac is meant to be Mac. And I think it's safe to say, like, people like us, we use the Mac for the multi-windows, multi-purpose of either the streaming or the recording or the editing, and then the anything creative side. That just so happens to also be able to let you check mail, go on social media, and all the other rudimentary things that you could do on your phone. Whereas the phone is your primary computer for those tasks and making phone calls and stuff like that. And the iPad can be more of that leisure. I know I use the iPad when I'm in the kitchen and I'm going to watch iUpdate and stuff like that. So
Telosive Tech. We all go to Telosive Tech here.
Yeah. I like to watch videos of myself on the podcast because I just don't get enough
The
of it.
sub count disagrees, for the record.
Oh, no, you can't say that. You can't bring that. That sub count, irrelevant. Doesn't matter.
There's another website called Social Blade here.
Oh, dude, can we just talk about, because Drew, I texted you about this a few months ago.
What was?
About basically comparison in the creator space. And you were like, dude, I don't even check YouTube Studio more than every so often because I know that where my mind will go. And I check, I feel like, way too much. I feel like I'm always like, the second that YouTube can tell me, which is the worst and most, like, I don't know if social media is good for us feature they've ever made, which is when it tells you how your last video ranked out of your previous 10. Because,
I hate that.
Dude,
Particularly hate that.
I literally feel in my head endorphins being released when it says 1 out of 10 and shoots the confetti.
The confetti, yeah.
Because you're like,
I think it's dangerous.
You're like, dude, I'm nuts. Dude, 30K views in an hour. I'm insane. Like, not, you know, being facetious, but you're like, wow.
I can't be touched.
Yeah, you're like,
And also
I am a
contrast
god.
that to when you see the 10 out of 10.
and then you're like, that's my, you know, my video yesterday was like 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10, you know, and I was just, you know, it's gray, it's sad, and you're like, man, and it's a weird thing to posit because you might have worked significantly harder on that 8 out of 10 video and you cared about it more, but the 1 out of 10 video is the one that made you more excited, even though you liked making that one less while you were doing it. So it's kind of evil, and like that's something that I'm definitely trying to like rationalize and get better at. Is just like lack of comparison, because I feel like you guys, I don't know if this is a human thing or if this is just a me thing, but like even being on a podcast, I don't know if you guys are like, how do we rank in comparison to this podcast, or what are these people doing, or
I don't want to talk about how toxic I get in my own head. I will go in my Tesla, go to the podcast and be like, we're not here, and then I'll just walk away.
Yeah.
We basically say, have we been featured in an Apple ad, and have they been featured in an Apple ad?
There you go.
That's our rank.
There you go. Like, honestly, that is so cool. And like, it sucks though, because
I'm kidding. It's just a flex.
Yeah, that is that validation that like you want. And it, like, I've just noticed it more. Like, you can constantly compare the way that you look, sound, talk compared to, like, sure, it's immediate in the tech space, but then you're like, oh, this person that's doing this vlog got so many more views. What am I missing out on? It's tough. I feel like it's the greatest job, but there's like definitely things that, I mean, there's a big discussion about social media. Is it good or bad? I feel like we all agree we probably spend too much on Twitter every day, just reading through, because that's where tech stuff happens, is Twitter. For some people, it's Instagram. Right. And it's like just seeing this content all day. I got kind of deep here, but like I've just been thinking about it a lot.
I like it.
This is a job, but like, like we're also real people behind the camera. Like when we shut this podcast off, it's like, okay, time for lunch, time for this,
I'm not. I'm a demon. But, like, no, you're right though. Every time I go to a creator studio, I actually put my hand up and I cover up the thing out of 10, because when they first implemented it, I was kind of like, yeah, this is cool. I can see if it 1 out of 10, and now I know it's doing well. But I realized that anytime it wasn't 1 out of 10, or if it was 5 out of 10 or lower, I would start to feel like a failure. I felt like you're moving backwards if you're not. That's the danger of that YouTube layout, is they're like, if you're not growing, then you're failing. And I think that's a damage. I say this as my channel, but my point most recently has been, and I've brought this up in Twitch streams and stuff, is sustainability. I'm really happy with where I am and how much I'm making, and I just want to keep where I am as long as possible. I don't care if I never get another sub. I don't care if I don't grow. I just want to keep enjoying what I have, because I'm really happy where I am, and I could do this for the rest of my life. So if I stay right where I am, I'm happy. So I don't need the negative feedback of YouTube saying this isn't growing as fast. Because it's an exponential thing. If you're not constantly growing faster than the rest of your videos, it won't show up as 1 out of 10. And I think they know that. I think they know that mind game it plays encourages you to be like, well, I gotta try harder, then I gotta do something else, I think I briefly remember that conversation we had.
Google has a way of, and it's not just Google, but because we all do get a payment from Google AdSense and stuff like that, they do, it is the staple of all things independent media and entertainment and stuff like that. They found a way to control us again, even though we're our own bosses. They found a way to manipulate our emotions. I was watching, I was on Netflix actually last night, and I like watching the David Letterman thing that he has. He has a special, and I just watched Dave Chappelle, and he said, and I was like, oh, a great arbiter of our time. He says, the more that you invest in yourself as a celebrity, and in this context for us, as these YouTube creators and people that look to us for information, the more you invest into that, the less you own of yourself, because you've let that go. And that blew my mind, because I'm like, in this very, very small scale, I understand what he meant when he said that, because of that weird addiction to social media and our phone, which is why a lot of the time, Sam, we talk a lot on the show about us trying to downsize our use of social media, which is why I don't think Apple or anybody will get in contact with collaborations anytime soon, because we try to go against the grain, knowing that we're still addicted to it. We try to be cognitive of it, but to know that feeling of like, you check it and you're like, oh, this is not doing well, this is not doing good, we can't help but, we're humans, and we'll feel that and be like, man, this and it's hard to kick that habit because they found a way to give us that dopamine hit, and then the next one will never be as strong, and it's a constant chase, and you're chasing the high, which is why people get addicted to the numbers, and then the sub counts or the verified check mark, and I actively will go against it and say screw that, because they want us to be hooked on that stuff, because then they can control you again when this is our platform. This is what we do and how we want to cover it. So I'm gonna pause on that whole deep layer and just, man, I love Apple. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. No, I've had that deep thought. I'm like, I've spent my career since I was 14 years old pushing not only, this is really capitalism, but like consumerism. Always have the best.
American way.
Always upgrade the American way. And I think that there are deep ties to humanity that very countercultural. Very what humans should be, I feel like ideally, and what we exist in is like, and I have a question. I'm like, am I going to look back on this and be like, maybe I shouldn't have just been the poster child for like, buy the new iPhone every year. It's great. At the same time, you have to rationalize that conversation because it's not all bad. Like, we, jobs have been created, like, or an outlet to just make what you want and maybe make money for that. Like, that didn't exist in 1950. If we wanted to do commentary, good luck. We're going to be, in line with the 50 other better looking news anchors that talk nicer, that have deeper voices, that fit this stereotype, and it's not going to be what the beauty of the internet is, which is individualism. That we each have a little outlet, a little spot where we can say stuff.
Sure.
But it's a tough balance. And like when they compound those features that tell you how you're doing all the time, like I didn't realize this until I saw a tweet, but they were like, yeah, imagine, it was actually from Nilay Patel of The Verge. He was like, we don't tell our reporters how many views they get on every article. That's something that we do not make available to our reporters because we don't want that to influence the journalism and the stories that they chase. And I was like, that's really good, because then think about it. If we didn't get to see views and we were just promised so many $1,000, $3,000.
That'd be interesting.
And it was like, just do you. That would be, I will be honest, I think that would tweak the way that I make content. I would post about some things more and some things less if it was just like, I don't get to see, there are no views, or my money, the amount of money I make doesn't stay the same, it stays the same rather than being 30% up this month. Like down, when the pandemic starts, everybody's AdSense is down 30%. It's like, okay, all right. Hey, Jimmy Johnson, you guys
This
hiring?
is fine. I'm
meme.
okay with the events unfolding here. Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's a very interesting. I've never thought about like, what if you couldn't see that information and it happened. I try to live by that, knowing that that's not the case now. I want to make the content I want to make, even when like we've been sponsored on the podcast, and I've made dedicated videos for it to put in there, and I treat it like it was me putting a piece of myself into it, and how would I have fun with it, and I only bring it up because I see you doing this, Sam, with like Dollar Shave Club, and you do your skit as well, and that part is like, if I can have the creative control not to worry about it, how can I want to have as much fun with it as possible, knowing it might be part of the job to keep the lights on and stuff like that. And I appreciate that there are tools in place that help us try to break certain habits, whether it's like the screen time for here's how long you've been on your phone this week. But admittedly, I don't like looking at that number because it's an ugly number for me.
Dude.
But I like that it's still there. But as long as we're just talking about it and we're being self-aware, and whoever listens to it, and then they're self-aware, I feel like at least that's the first step. And we do acknowledge that this is a medical issue with mental health as a whole. You covered in your video, I think just yesterday or 2 days ago, about like the whole like panic attack, and even though it might be a contradiction, like, oh God, I'm having a what? But the idea that we are trying to be more control of our mental health, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. If we're going to try to be healthy physically with the Fitness Plus app, then we might want to be healthy mentally with the addictions that we seem to engulf ourselves in and try to make a job out of it, Yeah.
That's why I don't have my social media on my iPhone.
You're a brave man.
There's no Twitter, Discord, Creator Studio, or Instagram on the iPhone.
He's achieved enlightenment.
No, you.
How Buddhist of you.
Okay, here's a quick follow-up. Do you feel like you've become happier now that you've done that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Or you feel
a
well-being change of any kind?
I don't know if happier is the right word. Maybe
Yeah.
disconnected.
Okay.
Because I will admit on the show I've been struggling with smartphone addiction legitimately, and I find that there's a lot of times in the day where my wife likes taking naps, or she is at work all day on a computer, so she doesn't really get much time on her phone.
Yeah.
So when she's done with work, she likes to use her phone and browse Twitter, browse Reddit, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I'm with her, so I'm kind of like, well, if you're using your phone, what do I do? Do I just sit here and look at the sky? Or so I've found myself using my phone still quite a bit, but I'm not using work apps. I'm not checking Creator Studio, and I'm not on Twitter or Discord. So I'm still using my phone. I'm using it for other things, whether it be watching content creators or checking Apple Track, checking websites, and when I can go on the web and visit a website, it's a way to bypass. I can get to the news without getting notified of someone replied or someone liked my tweet. Instead, it's just the pure news, and there's no other distraction. Whereas Twitter, which is for me, it's been a good place for news, but it's very easy to engage and interact. Whereas just the website, there's not much interaction, but and play a few games, and I've been writing and that kind of thing. So I've just forced myself to be a bit more productive with my phone, even though I'm probably not using it less. And in that sense, sure, I could say happier because it feels like there's more of a clean cut between work time and non-work time, which I found very useful. But part of that has been because kind of like you said, if we made content like views didn't exist, you can kind of force yourself to do that by just disconnecting more. Like on my phone YouTube app, I'm not logged into my tech account. I'm on a separate account with no videos, and it's not subscribed to any Talos of channels, so I don't see, because that was the first trick.
Does that
I
one
found
have
myself
YouTube
doing.
Premium?
Yeah. It has premium. Don't worry.
Premium's
I won't
nice.
use YouTube without premium. Yeah. But
I saw your little tweet fest yesterday. I almost responded like, I'm
got
having
some
fun.
attention.
I'm having fun reading this while I'm in the bathroom. Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome. No, but the first trick I started falling down was I would go on the YouTube app and then just search my channel and then look at the views on the channel, and I had to force myself to stop doing that.
I've been there too, man.
Yeah. You're like, how's that one video doing? I'm trying to, like you said, I'm trying to make content like that. I'm trying to think, is this interesting? Is this something I have something to say about? And if so, then let's make the video. And will it perform well? Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? Because, I think that we need more people that are just catering towards being genuine and making videos about stuff they're interested in, not just, I want to talk about this because I know it'll get a ton of clicks and a ton of views. And so that's what I'm trying to do best I can. But that I can't say that will result in people making more or making your channel grow faster.
Audience and views or viewers, I think they're evolving with the platform and with us as creators. That back 10 years ago, clickbait, before that word was even a word, clickbait was the only way you could drive views, and people would use fake thumbnails and shocking headlines for you to watch the video that had nothing to do with it, and it was deemed socially acceptable. And today, if you do that, you're going to be hashtag canceled and stuff like that for doing stuff. So I see the evolution of just the relationship between us as the content creator, the content, and the audience. And I feel like we're all kind of on the same page, and we have to now force, platforms like Google and to maybe change the way that they output this information for us in a way that's not even detrimental, because our ethos here when we did the podcast is that we were going to make it the same thing whether anybody was listening or not, and we can attest that nobody was listening to us, and we're doing the exact same nonsense, which is why we just talk in circles sometimes, because it's like this is what We want to be authentic ourselves. Transparency, I think, is the most important part of all of this now, in the sense that we have in transparency with ourselves. You guys were talking about how you will go on a different account and go watch a video as if it doesn't count because there's no history, but you're only at that point. It's like kind of like lying to yourself. But I think I think it's gonna have a way of correcting itself at the end of the day. I think everything's gonna evolve with it, and we're just have a new approach to it at the very end. I know we went completely off subject, and I'm cool with it. But I wanted to bring something up to you, Sam, just because we talked about it on Twitter, and there's been a change. Sam had mentioned, I'm looking at the audience. Sam had mentioned that software update would have came that would have fixed the tinting, and there are other issues that were happening with the 12 mini. For me, I have the 12 mini, and I had an update that happened, and then it fixed the tinting. Update is that everything's wrong again, and by the time this video goes out, this phone would have been gone. Apple is sending me a replacement. I'm returning this phone because this one is affected, and every time I restart, it's not fixed anymore. So really? The first thing that Sam had told me was maybe get in contact with Apple, to which yesterday or 2 days ago I did, and today I'm expecting the express delivery to happen. Nice. So this phone is going away. I am getting a replacement. I'm still keeping this configuration, but the tinting did not resolve itself. I'm affected by sound. I'm having issues that a factory restore didn't fix. Nothing about anything I was doing was fixing it. So the phone's going away. It is still a problem. So when you start doing another update, just remember that this.
I will, Randy. So
that's the update.
Yeah. Well, so you updated it and it fixed it, and then it reverted again.
The software didn't revert, but the problem came back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have. Gotcha. In some ways, it's actually back even worse.
Dang.
Before it looked like, man, this looks like an LCD panel.
Yeah.
To where it's like, no, now it's just foggy. When I'm watching a YouTube video and where the things would have been blacked out, I'm laying in bed, as you shouldn't be doing on your phone, but I'm laying in bed, and I'll go under the blanket where it's all dark, and I can see the notch, I can see the outline. I'm like, that's not right. And this is a problem, and I'm experiencing other issues with it. So this phone's going back to Apple, and they're sending me a new one. So
well, hey, that's exciting. I'm happy that they're taking care of you and that it's going to be fixed. Because you spend $800, $700 on the phone. Like you need to have the right quality. So that's
sure.
I'm happy that they were very responsive to that.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask you, Sam, are you on a time crunch here? Do you have to get going?
I'm literally free till whenever. Thank you for asking.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check.
I definitely have been on something before where I was just like, okay, is it time?
I want to give you an exit window.
Yeah, no, literally, I'm free whenever. After this, I don't know.
Bail is whenever you need to. That's fine.
Yeah, just say pineapples and we'll know that we got to cut it.
Yeah, my safe word.
That's it.
That's what I love doing about, I love podcasting, and I wanted to get into it because it is so hard to connect with fellow humans. And I just feel so during coronavirus. That sounds like in general, but I
would argue that we're close. We're not barely human at that right now.
Yeah. But just it's weird. So refreshing to have a conversation with people, and I've gotten super into podcasts across the board.
Good,
in the past few months because they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Which one's your
when
favorite?
We were talking.
Don't lie.
I mean, I would probably say the Toulouse Tech podcast, but that's just me.
Oh, that's fine, because when I was watching the other one with Renee Ritchie, you were saying that one would put that on your tracker. Put that one on your tracker, and
just iUpdate is complete fraud. I switched the irony
0% factual. Yeah,
the irony of me running Apple Track is that in my personal life I'm extremely shady and deceptive, and I just tell everybody different things.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
I think when we were having that conversation about growth and trying to get the channels to get more views and stuff, I said something along the lines of even PewDiePie has a T-series. There will always be someone growing faster than you.
Yes,
so what's more important is being happy with where you are and focusing on that first instead of just someone's growing faster, because you're always going to notice people growing faster because they stand out, they're growing, so that's why they're very obvious, and that can lead you to the illusion that you're a failure because you're not growing as fast. But you're not. I don't think you should be considered failing or a bad channel just because you're sustaining where you are at all.
Not at all.
That's natural.
I totally agree. And I really like what you were saying about longevity. sorry, I'm kind of far away from my mic, like longevity.
That's
and
right.
And something, you know, lasting. Like
Mm-hmm.
there have been channels that peaked way before you and I started that I was like, they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
around forever. And sure enough, we passed them up and they're gone and we're still here. You know, whether we're growing at
Yeah, I can think of a couple.
a million. So I remember, and no offense to these guys. Like I wish they would make videos, but like I remember Everything for iPod was a big one that I watched. iDevice Movies, who did a bunch of stuff back in the day. And these were people that I like that inspired me to start. Like that inspired me to start my channel that are, you know, are no longer creating for whatever reason. But
Sure.
you have to eliminate comparison, because it's like at the end of the day, did I make $5 or $5 million from doing this thing that's really fun? And it's like, if you put yourself in that vacuum, you are so much better off, because you aren't looking. And like I'm just convinced that humans have not been wired yet or evolved yet to do that, like to rationalize and separate comparison and competition from like, oh, I'm like an individual person. Because like you know, social media just happened. Like it just
Right.
happened, and it was like, oh, I can see everything from everybody anywhere, which is beautiful, but it's very slippery to then be like, well, I don't have what they have, and they do this thing better than I do. And man, we're doing the same thing, but they're just so much better, you know, rather than,
Right.
they're having a good day. Happy for them. All right, moving on, you know, because it's so hard when you do have all those metrics in your face that are like, oh man, my views are down this
Like they
month.
have to when you go to upload videos, like you have to
can't
see
avoid
it.
it.
That's
Yeah.
why I hold my hand up. I literally
Yes.
have to cover it up. But yeah, you're right. I think it's very easy for us to take for granted the positions we're in, that we're even able to make anything off of this.
$1.
And
Like,
yeah.
I remember my first paycheck. I was just like, whoa. And you know, it was when I just, you know, because you need to make $100 to get paid from AdSense.
Right.
And I remember, you know, back in, I don't know, July or September of 2013, I got that first direct deposit in my parents' account at the time, because I wasn't 18. And I remember I was like, whoa, $100. Like, that's insane. I literally talked about an iPhone. And of course, you know, at that point, you're not sustainable yet, but it's
And that's still a dream
Beautiful.
for a lot of people.
yes, yeah, and
There's still a lot of people that wish they could do that but haven't got there yet. And for so many people to probably be looking up and saying like, I wish I could do that, but
Yeah.
I'm not yet. And they ask us how we're doing, and we're like, well, not growing as fast as some other guy.
yeah.
So it's like, come on, man, you don't realize
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you got.
but
It doesn't have to be for you to win. The other has to lose. It's something that everyone grows at different pace with different audiences, which
Yeah.
I think is a great thing. There's content for everybody, and people. I mean, I've seen people, you know, criticize whether it's Taylor Swift, you're just a blind sheep and all that too. And that rolls over here onto the podcast to where, you know, and they're like, no, I remember last year, whenever you guys got your play button, iUpdate's way better. Taylor's way better. And then you got these like going like that. They did the same thing, you know, with FPT and stuff like that. And it's like, but it's one thing to have that rivalry the same way they try to do iOS and Android and stuff like that. But at the end of the day,
To each their own.
Everyone has a spot, and there's more than enough to go around and to be shared. And one doesn't have to lose for the other to succeed. And as long as you find that you're okay with yourself doing it, people forget that we're humans as well. We're all humans, and we have you know, a threshold. At the same time, it's on us to remember that we were lucky to even get that first paycheck in the first place, and how cool is it to say that we got paid to do that. So just finding that being humble about it, I guess at the end of it is more appropriately driven, because it's hard to imagine now for guys like you, like what would you guys be doing if you didn't have your YouTube? For me, it's like I'd go try. Yeah,
whoa.
it'd be weird, right? It's weird. It feels like it's a different life. It's a different you. It's like who would have that been if that was the case?
Do you have an answer for that, Sam?
I was just gonna say,
Do you know what
I
you'd be doing?
really want to hear this from both of you, especially like
Oh,
Drew,
okay.
just because we do like Apple
Sure.
YouTube specific daily.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes the same video.
Yeah, sometimes the same video. So
Same thumbnails too sometimes.
yeah, we actually
Same
person.
Frozen 2 microphone. Yeah.
Guys, we didn't want to reveal it, but Drew and I'm actually Drew's AI that he made. He designed me.
That's right.
And no, but
This is the
The
Apple
clone.
Glass. That thing's on Sam's face. That's Apple Glass.
Yeah.
that would be the biggest, like, imagine if Apple had sent that to people, and then 2 years later, like, Marquez just starts wearing glasses for a year, and he's like,
Yeah, hey,
guys,
wait a minute. I would send it to you
What's
first,
this?
Sam, because I would believe you could be more inconspicuous. Like, if I see Marquez wearing that, I'm like,
Yeah,
all
you're
right,
like,
what is that on
wait.
your face? What the hell is that? Uh-huh.
Or that'd be like me wearing glasses.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
would know something's up.
Yeah,
But what would you be doing if it weren't YouTube?
I was lucky enough to go to and finish college, and I got my degree in December of 2019. So my mom reminded me the other day that in a couple of days I will have been out of college for a year, which does not make me feel like I'm getting any younger. And then because YouTube became real for me, I think it was the summer before my senior year. So it would have been the summer. No, sorry. It was the beginning of my senior year. So it was right when I was still like, am I making like enough to like, live? Because I was always one of those people as well where I was like, if I'm doing YouTube, I want to be comfortable. I do not want it to be worrying about if I can pay bills, worrying about if I can eat, stressing out about, I was like, I want to be able to have enough in savings and be making enough each month to where like, I can relax, because there's so many people in my life that I know that are financially stressed, and it's always really hard to see because you're like, that is something that takes so much work to get out of.
And YouTube's not reliable.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't. Like sometimes the system is literally just against you to the point where no amount of hard work will get you there. So it's like that makes it even tougher for people. And I've told myself, because I don't know if you guys ever think about this, but like, what if YouTube disappeared? What if...
Oh, we talk about that.
We just
way
talked
more
about
than
it
you
last night.
think. Yeah.
What if YouTube magically they would say the ad space is too competitive, we don't want to be in this business anymore, and goodbye. YouTube is shutting down.
Or new regulations come out that make all your old videos
Copyright law.
obsolete, and now DMC take down, and you're done.
And I've always told
It's very
myself
fragile.
that I would find a way to do something similar with speaking or public influence. That would be the dream. But if it was like I had to get a job right now, realistically I'd probably apply at NBC. I had an internship with them in 2018.
Really?
And like
That's cool.
So I have like vague connection to like places in Stamford, Connecticut where I worked as an
So you know Steve Carell, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But like that would be like, if it was like I need a job right now, where do I have slight experience at and like that I'm qualified for a job at, I'd probably just apply at like a news kind of place in the interim.
Interesting.
If it was
That'd be
like
cool.
I am out of money, I need to put food on the table. But I would hope to be able to do something with a camera still, like something with filming and talking, because
Like, you think you'd still be doing YouTube even if it wasn't getting much attention?
that's tough.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
It depends how severely the revenue got cut. If it was like 50%, I'd be like, okay. But if it was like 75%, I think I'd be like, all right, I need to shift somewhere else. What are your guys' answers? Because like that, it is hard, but like I also do want nice things for myself. So like if it was like I'm putting all this work and effort into something that's just not working.
We're Apple fans. Come on.
Yeah, like how am I going to buy a new iPhone?
It's not gonna pay for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on track. I did not finish college. Sorry. Sam's got that over me.
No,
But
it's
after...
We're watching a lifetime
After-
comparison of Drew's like self-esteem, just like, well, Social Blade says he's got a diploma and a degree.
It says he has a
college is
right here.
I get something I always be careful about when I talk about college, because I have a ton of friends that didn't go to college, is some people will use it as it's a tool like anything else.
Sure.
Going to college does not make you better or worse than anybody else who didn't go to college. And I'm always very frustrated when I hear someone with a degree be like, oh yeah, well I have my degree. Like, there are so many factors that go into people choosing whether or not college is right for them. emotional, familial, societal, economic, like
Familial.
a million things.
That's a cool
Like,
word. Yeah.
so I don't care if you went to college or not. I don't look at people differently. Even though some people that I know that went to college were like, oh yeah, you know, it's like it's a personal choice. Why would you judge anybody for?
I just had a personal hate of school, probably more than anyone I ever met. I just have a irrational fear of schools in general.
Yeah.
And the plan, all my parents are teachers and all my relatives are teachers.
That's
and
why he hates it. That's why he hates
that's
it.
really funny.
No, they were the best. When I had them as teachers, they were amazing. But the whole family went to college, basically. And I was the first one getting out of high school saying, I don't think I want to go to college. I want to pursue this YouTube thing. But I also just want to work. So they weren't willing to just say, okay, you can just stay at home and do YouTube. They were like, well, if you have another job, you can do YouTube on the side. You can't just not have a job and just do YouTube, because it wasn't making enough to, live off of. So the plan was, okay, you can not do school for a year, and then when the year is up, we'll open the discussion up what your future is going to be again.
Gotcha.
And the initial plan was, okay, you're going to work at this Mandarin Ranch for the year and do YouTube on the side. And if YouTube's not really going anywhere a year later, then you're going to go to this lineman's college, which is basically people who work on power lines and and telephone lines and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was a training program not too far away that would result in pretty high pay after just like 4 semesters. Wow. So it would just be like 2 years worth of education, and then that would permit me to actually be a lineman, and it sounded pretty promising. That was basically plan B. But for me, plan A was just I work really, really hard on YouTube and it takes off, and that's obviously what happened. So my best theory is that that's what would have happened, but the truth is I've been doing YouTube since 2008, I think, and it wasn't a tech thing for me until 2014 was when I started doing tech videos. So there was many, many years of me doing YouTube without any pay. So I have a feeling that even if I did pursue the lineman college thing, I would still be doing YouTube of some kind on the side, just because I was doing it on the side for so many years, and I would push off homework to focus on YouTube videos, or I would ignore other things going on in life so I could make more YouTube. So yeah, I think I'm constantly planning for YouTube to fall apart. I think it's going to happen. I think it's a matter of time.
No, Drew, don't say that, please. Please don't crush the dream that we're living in right now.
I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. I really do. For all the gripe we give it and all the hate we give YouTube, I think it is really awesome that there's a place we can all just upload our thoughts and monetize it, and there's a huge platform of people to enjoy it, and I love that aspect of it. And I've canceled a lot of subscriptions in my time, but premium is still there. That's the one service I won't budge on. And I think if it does all come crashing and burning, I would still want to be creating content in some way, shape, or form, which is why, we're trying to build up our passive income so that, right now we would probably be okay if YouTube revenue dropped to 0. We would just probably restructure Twitch and Patreon and keep doing the podcast, and just I would probably just keep doing what I'm doing, just with a little bit tighter budget. But yeah. I think if it was YouTube never took off in the first place, it would just be lineman's college and still trying to unbox videos and
hey Drew, my power's out, can you come take a look?
I could have been useful. Instead I just yell at people who are mad that there's no charge brick in the iPhone packaging anymore.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
You're welcome, Mom.
I love that's really cool to hear. That's because, like, I don't know, I love hearing about like people's sort of like real realities outside of YouTube, because it's like, oh, like, that sounds like it's kind of like my life. Like these are like real. It humanizes you when you're not like I don't know, influencer is such a weird. It has a negative connotation in a lot of ways, but like
I think so.
That is technically what we do. we influence.
So you guys Sam, how old are you?
I'm 22.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
We're the same
Yeah.
age. I forgot that.
Yeah, another similarity.
and
I thought you were older for
this
some reason.
AI
I'm just
thing
used to
is
that.
becoming
yeah.
more and more real.
Yeah,
About
yeah.
Sam just being not even. It's just another.
Randy's like, I'm talking with babies
Yeah.
right now.
I'm talking about. In 2008, I joined the Marine Corps.
I was 10.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so I'm 30. I was 18 in 2008, and I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years.
You look way younger than 30, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
Oh.
26.
You don't have to
27.
lie, Sam.
Like,
No, I like him. You know what, Nick?
serious.
Nick, you're fired. Quite frankly, Nick, I like Sam more. Thank you. You're fired. Rag.
Well, he acts young,
Nick,
so
Nick,
that helps.
Nick told me he's like, oh, you're I don't know, 45 or something. He's like, get out of my life.
oh my God, no.
Oh man, yeah, it's because I'm too silly. I don't act like
Yeah.
I'm 30, but I refuse to
good.
grow up in my head. I'm having too much fun. But for the 4 years, I was gone. In 2008, America was different. We were in a war and stuff like that, and I felt like my calling at that point was, to go give back to the country because I vividly remember watching 9/11 happen.
Wow.
So that scoped my teenage years.
Yeah.
I went back to school and I too have a degree.
What's that
But,
like?
but I don't know what's it like to not have a mortgage. My God, I lost. I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did get a degree, and then while I was playing around with YouTube here and there and music here and there, I went to go work for the government as a contractor. So I work in cybersecurity. If this was to all crash, a part of me feels like maybe I would go back to it, but the truth is, just yesterday I put in my 2 weeks to step down from it because
That was a bad time for it to crash.
it's a bad time because I'm about to go all in on this now. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I'm about to be one of you, but in
Oh,
a
yeah.
smaller
One of
smaller
us.
form.
Nice.
We were smart enough to only figure a way to try to mitigate our risk. At the end of the day, was to mitigate our risk because the podcast, not just on YouTube, but on the audio side of it, it's monetized, and we are making money through that as well.
Oh, nice.
I have a Tesla channel that is monetized. My music channel is now monetized, and so there are ways that I want to dive into it. It's like if I was able to hit these milestones doing it periodically, what happens if I give it 2 to 3 years of my life and I go all in? And it coincidentally just happened right as my wife wanted to go and change her career and become an airman, so she just left for boot camp.
Wow.
So we have this long-term plan of like where we want to take our 30s, and
Yeah.
and our priorities is like starting a family within the next 5 years and stuff like that.
Nice.
But if I made sure over the last couple of years I put aside so much money that whatever happens, I can give this my all for the next couple of years. And if it doesn't work out, maybe I'll try to crawl back to national security and do that. But the thing is, I'm stepping down from it because even though I'm good at it, I don't love it. It's not my thing. Like Sam, you have an idea of going to NBC as maybe something so I can still be involved in this genre of work.
Yeah.
And I would love to never leave this genre.
Yeah.
Music is my life, and I
Yes.
do everything musically. So if I could make that work in some capacity, I would. But I was just talking to Drew last night about this very thing. I am keeping my mind flexible because everything is always subject to change, and I just want to be able to adapt to the changes that will happen. So if we lose YouTube, how can I make this work on Twitch? If we lost Twitch, I mean, at this point, I think as a society, we have bigger issues on our hands if we're losing these big corporations at this point. So I'm just being a small fry trying to eat the bottom of the barrel here and bottom feeding. But I'm also in a position, very luckily, I'm very lucky, very blessed to say that I've been so invested in the market, and I'm building my passive income that if I can make it a way to live off of passive income and still do what I love, I know for a fact unequivocally that this is who I am and this is what I want to do. However I can do it is remain to be seen, but I know what drives me. I'm done. Now I'm in full adulthood, right? I just turned 30, so I'm like, all right, how can I approach act 2 of my life and make the most out of it? Act 1, I know who I am now. I know what drives me. I know what I don't. Most importantly, I know what I don't want. And that is my motivator to keep me moving in this direction, because without YouTube, without social media, as much as we were just kind of knocking on it with our own addictions, I would have not met people like you guys. I would have not met similar things. I would have not had any of these opportunities.
Same.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm so grateful for this, and I'm grateful for the audiences that we've built. I'm grateful for the community that we've been able to establish and carve our own little niche into it. And there's no part of me that takes any of it for granted, and I want to give it my full. If we lose it tomorrow in some way, shape, or form, I will adapt. I will do everything I can to be flexible with it, because I don't want to be a slave to the dollar, in the sense that I have to take any job that I don't like. At least with my degree, it helped me get me in a position with cybersecurity and doing all that stuff. But 25-year-old me, that's when I got my degree, was still trying to figure it out. Had I known, obviously hindsight, right? Had I known YouTube would have been what it is now back in 2008, I would have not joined the Marine Corps. Honestly, I would have focused. My YouTube channel was created in 2006, so I've been around. I'm an OG, and I'm like, this is cool.
Did you go to the zoo and upload a video about it?
Oh, it's San Diego Zoo.
Me at the
zoo. Hey, San Diego Zoo. That video was taken here in San Diego. So yeah, I for me to say that, like, I saw all these eras of YouTube change. It wasn't that way in 2008. But had I had the hindsight to be, or at least the foresight to be like, I could have done that. I'm trying to do that now for the next wave of whatever happens with online presence and us being
TikTok.
A voice.
Guys, I'm starting to think that I missed the wave on TikTok.
I don't think you missed it. I think it's gonna come and go like Vine. It's gonna be it's a short length content, and that's a short term social media site.
I'll be honest with you. I think part of me stepping down from this work, I would have done something as ridiculous as downloaded a TikTok. TikTok, yeah. So you're aware, Sam, we're not allowed to have TikTok on our phone. It is a security threat.
Because I will slap him.
Really?
It is a security. Yeah. I've gone. I'm not to spare the audience. We'll talk more like offline or something. But to spare
the government deemed it too cringe.
You're not. There's been many internal conversations had about the vulnerabilities that we pose by allowing certain software to be put onto the phones, and TikTok was deemed a liability. It's not so much as a threat, like this is going to do it, but the fact that us as a nation could not control the software side of things with the information. We're worried about Google and Facebook, but yet if you let something that China was doing, then at that point, like where's that information
all
going?
bets are off.
So we were told you can't do it. Wow. And I've never touched it. I don't even have the little download cloud thing because it would compromise my job at that point too. So
you're not gonna risk that.
So I think I miss the wave of TikTok as well. Unfortunately, all that cringe.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We all missed it.
Yeah.
Well, portless iPhones, am I right?
All right. iPhone 12
Sam,
mini.
We should probably end on something tech related.
Sure.
What are you most looking forward to in 2021, tech wise?
Just broadly tech.
I guess any tech. It could be Apple. It could be anybody.
Apple-wise, I am really excited about the new AirPods. Like, I really do love AirPods, and like I'm excited for.
We did
AirPods
start
3.
the year thinking there would be so many AirPods, right?
Yeah, and Pro 2, and
nothing.
I'm excited for AirPods. That's always like a big thing for me. Very excited for the bezel-less Apple Silicon iMac.
Is that the one you're waiting for?
Yes. So I'm recording on a 27-inch spec'd out iMac, like the ones that came out in August. I decided to get one of those.
Wow. I just noticed.
I see your Mac Pro in the back.
Yeah. That's my dude. I've got like 2 iMacs and like 2 MacBooks. I'm like, what am I doing?
Sam, you got a problem. We need to sit down and have an innovation.
I know. Well,
this is not minimal.
I've been there.
I know.
I have a MacBook here, an iMac Pro here.
The iMac is just so nice. Like the iMac is, if they can just remove the inch bezels and give me Apple Silicon like an M2, I don't know what else I'd want. If you're going to give me the
Yeah.
same 5K display in a smaller form factor and the efficiency of Apple's chips, dude, that is going to be absolutely insane. Like, I am waiting.
We have this in common too.
I am waiting for that iMac because I have.
This is why we can only have you on the show every couple of years, because it's just an echo chamber at this point.
I think Sam could replace me on the
Oh my
show,
God.
actually.
Like, I have the Silicon
probably-
M1 MacBook Pro, and I like it so much, but it's just a little too small. Like, I still have my 16-inch because I'm like, I know when I'm editing a long-form 10-minute plus video that this is just too... And I've said this for people on my channel. Like, if you're looking to do serious video, photo, and creative, I think you should do the 16-inch bigger screen because it's worth it. But if you just want like a portable pro laptop, then the 13-inch is amazing. But yeah, I would say probably honestly, unironically, most excited for is that redesigned iMac with Apple Silicon. Like, that is something
We're in agreement there.
I am just, the second the pre-orders go live, any amount of money, buy. Like,
Any amount of money.
Like,
Any amount of
like,
money.
I'm not
That's where
gonna
you
look
lost
this
me.
Fair enough. That's a good
I gotta
choice.
eat, Sam. I gotta.
You can, well, I was going to say, it doesn't get hot enough to use as your stove, so you will have to keep an Intel around to
know.
cook your
Yeah.
eggs on the
Freezing in
screen.
here.
What about you guys?
Ever since,
Damn.
I think I'm with you there. I think the redesigned iMac is probably going to leave a more lasting impact of all the hardware coming out next year. It's like 120 hertz on the iPhone. Okay. iPad can support extreme dynamic range now with mini LED. Okay, but the iMac is something I actually think will make a big noticeable difference with my day-to-day workflow. So, yeah, I'm with you there.
So we have an ongoing little joke right now where I bought HomePod minis. I have the iPhone mini, and Drew is campaigning for me to get the Mac mini, more to complete the meme of it.
Yeah.
I am campaigning. I'm going around the country just telling everyone Randy needs to buy
Just like
a Mac mini.
Randy 2020 for Mac Mini everything.
What we need is
Yeah.
Randy to have a Mac mini.
And then the
Okay.
iPad mini when it gets refreshed
And the
next
iPad,
year.
iPad Mini Pro Mini. No, probably not. No, I'm cool. I'm cool with this. Anyway, but I'm going to ask you, Sam, because I know what Drew wants. Say you have a 2015 27-inch iMac and you can't work on your channel on my computer, so you're gonna throw some toot at me about it. Which M1 Mac would you recommend I get, Drew?
Right now.
Right now, if I had to right now. Obviously, we all want to wait for the real one, but in this,
There's a right answer here.
and then there's the real answer.
Okay, here's the deal. I'm hearing a lot of tension between my two co-hosts here, and
He came, hijacked my studio, and then has the galls. He has the stones to tell me that's like, I can't. This is terrible, Randy. I didn't think it was
using
this
it.
bad.
I would feel like the Mac Mini is really tempting if you already have a monitor. However,
I don't have a monitor.
there
I have
are
the iMac.
However, there are minimal differences in performance across the board on these chips, which is a bit
Go on.
odd to me. I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable or slightly concerned, but it does.
It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This keeps me up at night. I don't like it. I don't sleep well. I sleep to my back to the wall.
I do. I'm like, where's this M1 chip? Is it going to be inside me next? I don't know. So like, Apple.
If it is, minimal difference.
Yeah. If you guys, if like my intros just go to like super Apple positivity one day, and I'm just like, I love my iPhone. Oh, hey guys, Sam. And it's just like very like, Siri is the best messaging.
He's been compromised.
Yeah. I installed TikTok. And I don't know. I just feel like the performance is so similar that it's a bit like, I was kind of hoping that the Mac Mini, because it's a desktop, would be more powerful. I have a feeling they're waiting to do the big jump until the next gen. I feel like
for cost purposes, I think the Mac Mini is the cheapest one and would to go that route.
Yes.
And I would need as many IOs as possible. I hate that there's only 2 ports for MacBook Pro, and
That's so silly.
I would have been okay. I would have said this will hold me for the next 5 years if I could have got the 4-port MacBook Pro with M1 even, and just I'd make it work. But the idea of of just them doing the lower end. I understand why they're doing it for mass integration first, but some of us, we've been waiting for a hot minute, and maybe it's fault to us for all the rumors and speculation for not, the Osborne effect on us that we decided to wait. But my criteria was like, I do need terabytes of storage, but I would want the 8 terabyte, and I would want as many ports as possible. Whether it was on the MacBook, I could work with it. If I needed to get the Mac Mini and get a separate monitor, then I'll make that work. But at the end of the day, my criteria was the storage, because I screwed myself. I got half a terabyte on this one in 2015, but in 2015, I never thought I'd be doing this.
Yeah.
So I shot myself in the foot, and I've been patiently waiting for the last 2 years. It's an ongoing joke about everyone waiting for me to upgrade, and I'm like, around the corner, me putting on the clown makeup. Yeah. It's coming, guys.
I promise. It'll get better
soon. But I want the 8 terabyte 4-port MacBook Pro that I can hook to a monitor, and I'm good for at least 5 years. Because at least I made this one last for 5 years. So, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm like this is like a little teaser that Apple gave us, and like I get it, but like if you guys have seen the teardowns, especially in that Mac Mini, there's a lot of empty space. You can tell they literally did find and replace Intel M1. Okay, we're done. Like, part of me is like, okay, why did this take so long to come out? Like, we were hearing about these for a long time. But of course, the chips were still in development. But the other part of me is like, I get it. And if you do need a new MacBook Air or Mac Mini or MacBook Pro right now, like, this is the time to buy because it is so good. But, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of creators talking about video editing, and, people are like, I switched to the Mac Mini M1, to do my video editing. But like, in every single export test I've run, my 27-inch iMac that's still Intel finishes 3 to 4 minutes on average before the M1. And I don't know and I've even tried different encodes, but like, for me, it's like, listen, this video needs to get off my computer and onto YouTube as fast as possible. I don't care if the timeline is a little bit smoother in some cases. Like,
right.
I finally, how much RAM do I have on this Mac? I finally went with 64 gigs of RAM in my iMac.
Oh, wow.
And Drew, for video editing, it is so much better. Like, the timeline that people were reporting on 8 gigabytes M1 timeline smoothness that I'm finally seeing on my iMac for the first time. And I realized it was because I started with 16 and then I went to 32 for a couple of years. Like, my iMac Pro is at 32, but like 64 was just that little bit of boost that it needed for like, and I'm sure you've seen this with like audio stuff, Randy, as well. Like, I didn't realize how important RAM was. I think it's really important.
I had a MacBook Pro before this, and I did not update the RAM. And when I was using Main Stage for back then, I was like playing live shows and stuff. It actually gave me like bad performance issues, like things would skip or pause or time out. Yeah. And then I'm looking up there like I look like an amateur. Now I'm embarrassed because like I can't even do a show at the time.
Yeah.
And so I said I wouldn't do that. Have that issue again. I've been reluctant to do anything with the RAM side because I've noticed how they've been more efficient with that since then. But one of the things that I considered with if I got an iMac with the M1 and redesign was doing something with RAM as well, because Logic, the moment I get to like track 16, it starts to just, it takes a second.
Yep.
Hit play, and it's just like, wait, go, and then it times out, and I'm just...
And it's not
frustrating,
unusable, but like, just like that started with the iMac Pro. The iMac Pro was super smooth for me, and then over time, it just seemed like the RAM slightly degraded or something, or it wasn't as great in 30. Or maybe my video, I think maybe more so my video files just got like bigger or longer or more intense because I've sort of shifted to longer videos. And my iMac Pro was just like, yep, again, same thing.
You film in 4K?
Yeah, I film everything in 4K 60 and generally upload in 4K 30. But unless I'm doing an iOS video. But I know you do 4K. Or do you do 4K 60 for everything, Drew?
Okay. Yes.
I love
pretty much everything.
I like the smoothness. I know there's so many arguments about frame rate, but
if we could just get you to change your aspect ratio, I think you'd be perfect.
Wait, do you guys not upload in the notch optimized?
Listen.
It's not optimized anymore.
Remember when I told you that I had to use you for an example?
Yeah.
It's because on the Mini, when I go into that, the notch cuts into your video.
Oh, the minis got a different.
So if I'm being honest, I will only watch your video on the iPad or on portrait mode or portrait science of landscape on the phone because the notch cuts into it. And Drew made a very good argument years ago that kind of stuck with me about if we adjust our aspect ratios to the phone, you're going to constantly be adjusting because things change with notches and stuff. For us, it's the iPhone notch, but other people were having that problem with the whole cutout for Samsung and for Google. So there are times where it bleeds in, where 16:9 feels to be the most consistent. And outside of tech, everyone's using 16:9 anyway. And I like playing around with the cinematic feel for it, but something bothers me personally about just getting rid of free pixels that I'm just cutting out just for the sake of cutting out.
Yeah.
But it is a preference thing. But your videos are almost perfect for me on the go. But maybe it's just me saying I need to get away from the mini again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I get that. I was on the 16:9 for forever, and then it's fit perfectly on my 5.8 and 6.1 inch phones, which is what I use, and probably most people on mobile use. And I think I get most of my views on mobile. I think most people get most views on YouTube on mobile.
So I'm the freak. Okay.
No, you make an excellent argument because most.
Take a look, because you got the mini, right? Yeah, put it on. Just open watch one of your videos and be like, hey, look at that.
I'll be like, man, this sucks. I'm so bad. Like I definitely. Oh man,
minis have needs too, Sam.
Yeah. Size doesn't matter. Because 16:9 most universal. I have enjoyed the more cinematic vibe.
Sure, of course, yeah.
It's just the right one for me. But
yeah,
I get it.
You do you.
Yeah,
we're for people making what they want to make. So
I also,
if that's what you
probably would have never done it if I wouldn't have seen every other bigger tech YouTuber do it first. And then I was
Jonathan Morrison went back to 16:9.
He did?
He did.
What? Yeah. Oh, man.
He even says like, there's something nostalgic, something I miss about this, and he's like, I like this, I'm vibing this. So he's like, I think I'll stick with this for a while.
I feel like he was the one who started it.
Yeah, because he did the little optimized cling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is super satisfying, and maybe
it is.
I basically just follow whatever Jonathan Morrison does for video. I'm just like,
you can't really go wrong by doing that.
No, he's so insane. Like,
everything about it is so clean. Yeah. What is
Very
up, guys?
clean.
Jonathan here, and then it's like, I mean,
dude,
you talk smooth like him. I remember saying on a tweet, it's like I can listen to Sam read a phone book. He talks so smooth.
Oh, thank you, dude. That means a lot. That's very sweet that you said that. Somebody else that I know was like, you should do more voice work, and I'm like, listen. The day that Apple says we're not going to send you anything, but we want you to voice these how-to videos on our YouTube channel,
Johnny Ive who?
Dream job.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Have me read copy. I will be in the studio for 8 hours. Getting it perfect, exact cadence.
Yes.
Like
I'm for it.
I love it.
I want this.
I'm about that.
So amazing. I would love that.
You're the only suitable replacement for Johnny Ive because everyone else anyone else who tries to sound like him or they try to do his tempo, I'm like, poser, get out of here. But hey, what is up, guys? Sam here, and this is iPhone 14. I'm like, oh damn.
He's got a voice for podcasts.
I am blessed.
I have a face for podcasts, but
I have a face for radio, but I'm blessed. I'm blessed with my voice, and I'm very grateful.
You are very much.
But yeah,
say that again.
Okay, so we've got our most excited iPhones. We've got our most disappointed. Which iPhone's going to be portless? Speed round.
The Pro.
Both the Pros.
Both the pros. Okay, so you're going to get 120 hertz, or you're getting Lightning. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What do you think, Drew?
That was really good. I don't want to disagree with that now. That sounds stupid. For the sake of devil's advocate, I'll say the 12S Mini will not have a port, but everything else will.
Oh, whoa. You think they're like...
Then it'll have a better battery, and it'll charge fast with the wireless charger.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like pros might utilize the port more
than
the average consumer.
Argument. I actually didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I could see it going either way.
Yeah.
Like you could argue that the pros have the money to spend on MagSafe, but you could also argue that pros probably utilize accessories that require the port more often than average consumers do. I also think it's very possible they'll just back out and keep Lightning for the next year
Boo.
for
Yeah.
e-waste arguments.
Oh my.
It's not a great e-waste argument.
I would say Pro because that's where they like to experiment first. I don't consider the Mini the experiment of doing something new. It's just like, oh hey, here's a return to form, so to say, that people have asked about, and that's where Mini exists. But Pros is where they get to play around with HDR, the 60 frame. You just see them kind of playing around, and then it trickles down the following year for whatever that last year model was. Will come to this year's all across the board, and the Pros is the prototype of demoing things because they don't expect it to sell that much if you're going to put that type of money into it. And I think about when they did away with SD card readers on the Mac, and we found a way to work with that. I think I wouldn't be surprised with the because there is data that's being transferred onto here when you do MagSafe. I could see more accessories that might be some form of an adapter. I'm not gonna say it's the cleanliness of it all, but I can see them. I can see them trying to make this a market. But I can also.
What was the first laptop they went all in on USB-C though?
MacBook.
The smallest one.
Yeah, MacBook. Yeah.
So which iPhone goes portless first?
These are
The
both
smallest
very
one.
good arguments. After you say
This is what we do for an hour.
Yeah, I like that because I'm my own echo chamber. So when I sit down to record a video, I just kind of spit out whatever I've been thinking. But
and then you go, "Wow, that guy has a nice voice. I agree with him."
Yeah, it's like, he's just. Why did I agree? I need coworkers. So if you guys are ever hiring at Telosive, I will.
As soon as we hire Randy, I'll let you know.
Nice.
As soon as I get promoted from 1099 to W2,
I know your pain, Randy. I know the pain.
Patiently waiting, Drew. Patiently waiting.
Okay, what other speed round questions could we do? Will the iPad Mini have Face ID or Touch ID?
Go, Randy.
Touch ID.
Go.
That was my gut.
Touch ID.
Yeah. That was my gut reaction.
Will it have Lightning or USB-C?
USB-C. Oh no!
USB-C.
Yeah, USB-C
Really?
all things.
Okay.
I think the whole.
We're going against Quo on that one.
I think the whole iPad line's gonna get C.
I agree.
That would be great.
Because it's
I
no
hope you're
longer
right on that.
iOS. It's iPad OS.
Will it? How will it support Apple Pencil 2 with a form factor that small?
It won't.
So what'll it support?
Apple Pencil 3.
Yeah. Oh, apparently
It'll be like one with USB-C.
Did you guys see that rumor about the Apple Pencil going black?
That's a good question. Oh,
Like 3 years ago?
No, this came out this summer.
Oh, I just remember reading about it like years ago.
Ice Universe, which does have a very bad track record for Apple stuff, said it's going to be black.
So it has to be real.
Wait, no, I got my stuff confused. Mr. White, who is 25% accurate, his accuracy may have gone up now.
Gotcha.
So
it's like a Russian roulette listening to Mr. White's leaks.
Yes, it is.
It's you put the bullet in and you
just
spin
like,
the chamber.
what's going to come out, if anything.
We'll find out.
If we never see black, it's because the white's too iconic, like with the AirPods and everything. They want it to stand out the way they want the headphones.
Speed round question. Okay. What's the price of AirPods 3 start at?
Same as 2.
All right. So does it have a non-wireless case and a wireless charging case? Or does it become a standard?
I think wireless gets standard. Same
Please.
Price. I think same price.
I hope so. Gotcha. Okay, and does iPadOS support external monitors better?
No, I feel like it's just going to be in this weird spot.
Dang it. Okay.
What do you guys think?
Fair enough.
I say yes.
Okay.
I feel like this is the only way they can go with it, but we've been saying it for years. So
True. The reason why I say yes is because the moment if we do get those pro applications, if you put it out there, you can optimize it. Whether they want to call it light or whatever, Final Cut will work better on the 16:9 than it will on the 3:4. And same thing with Logic. I think you can work the same thing with Logic. So yeah, that's why.
Gotcha. Last final question. I think this is a good tricky one to end on.
Okay, let's go.
Which iPhones get discontinued next year? Does the 12 mini stick around with the 12S mini or the 13 mini, or does it move out of the way because it's too similar?
If the 12 mini does good this year, it will be replaced next year with a 13 mini or 12 mini S or whatever, depending on the sales.
Okay.
And I'm voting with my dollar, which is why I'm sticking with it. I want it to be good.
Yeah.
So if it does well this year, we will see its successor come down the pipeline, and so it'll be replaced. I would say they will kill off the 10R next year.
Yes, please.
And we will probably
Please.
Please.
We need the centered logo on the whole lineup.
11 will be the last LCD display that has Face ID, and
Gotcha.
and everything else will fall in line the same way the 12 fell in line to replace the 11. So 10R will fade off. SE will stick around for the 8 chassis of it will stick around for the same amount of time the first gen did. And iPhone 11 will be the one and only last Face ID LCD display.
I think so.
It's good to move the inventory that way.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any different theories, Sam, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I think none of the 12s will stick around next year. I think they're going to all be replaced.
Wow.
I think
Nice.
because I think they are going to be too similar, and I think it's going to.
Yes.
I think it's going to be the SE, the 11, like Randy said, and then the 13s. I also just think
Gotcha.
there are way too many phones out right now.
I agree.
SE,
Yeah.
10R, 11, and 7 phones. Really? Like when I
Everyone was predicting that either the 10R or 11 would get discontinued, but there were very few people suggesting neither.
the 10R
I didn't
should
see that.
not be in the lineup. It should not.
Really?
No, it's a horror.
I think it might be like if you don't care about the camera, but you want Face ID.
That phone is
Pretty-
not worth $500 to me. Like that's my only argument. It's dropped in price $200 since it came out. Like, are you kidding? I just feel like
Around 250.
I had to focus on this a lot, and it was annoying to make the like which iPhone should you buy video, because not only
remember that, yeah.
not only did that take me literally from 12 noon on a Sunday until midnight to finish.
Oh my God.
It was exhausting, but I had to get a sponsor thing out, which I was very happy about. And I just was like, this will be a good place to put it. But like the 10R, for me, the 10R doesn't make sense if you compare it to the 11 or the SE below it, because it's outclassed in some ways by the SE and it's outclassed in all ways by the 11. So I just feel like $500 for this middle hybrid that just isn't that good. It doesn't have insane computational photography, and even the camera sensor is the same as the SE. I'm just kind of like, I recommend going 11 or SE. I
Gotcha.
just feel like the 10R.
Fair enough.
Plus,
Well said.
the best argument against the 10R is that it has the oldest processor, so it's going to stop supporting iOS before any of the other devices that Apple sells, because it's got an A12 versus an A13.
Fair enough.
I like that.
And how can we make Tailosive better? What's wrong with us, and why should we get rid of Randy?
Final question.
Final, is this a speed round? No, this should be a.
This is I ask any person I collab with, just like what can we be doing better? I want to open the floor up.
How do we get rid of Randy?
You know,
That part was a joke.
well, that's the only part I have an answer for, is how to get rid of.
Okay, let's hear.
We'll start with that one.
I really love what you guys are doing, and I'm saying this straight up to your face, unironically.
Thank you.
I love that you guys are doing the talks. I love that you're streaming. You guys are really good at streaming. I pop into the streams I pop into your streams more often than I do anybody else, because I'm not like a huge stream guy.
Thank you.
But like, I just love the consistency. I love the fan base that you guys have fostered with your Discord. I think that's something that I'm starting to think about doing, is a Discord of some kind.
It's fun. It's fun.
I feel like it's a good idea, and it's not like I don't know how to do it. It hasn't been like a priority, but I should.
It's a lot of work too.
It's
I'm
one more
thankful
thing
for
you
the
have
mod
to
team.
track
Yeah.
and
because then
Yeah,
you gotta watch
right.
what people are saying, and you want to make sure it's like fair to everybody.
Sure.
So I think you guys are doing a great job there. I mean, the podcast is great. The podcast is the thing that I am
Thank you.
envious of. And after doing this, every time I do a podcast, I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed this. I should do it. And I've done some back in the
I
day.
enjoy it too.
And I was never consistent enough. And I think it's because I was mainly just doing like solo podcasts, and that's just not that fun. The beauty of podcasts is, 3 perspectives, disagreement,
Sure.
agreement. So, I mean, I don't know. I love what you're doing with your content, Drew. I love that you're like
Well, thank you.
I feel like you're paving your own path, and I love.
You misunderstood the question. No,
Yeah. No, I mean, I
I'm
should
kidding.
throw what. Can
I appreciate it. Thank
what
you.
What can I critique? There's got to be. I mean,
plenty.
Here's my critique for you.
All right.
You should start using your face in thumbnails.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now,
fair enough.
I was actually going to bring this up.
I've never heard that
earlier
before.
When we should, when we were talking about content and views and stuff, I think it's cringy when I put my face in a thumbnail. And
You do?
I think it looks goofy. I think it looks dumb. However, there is research that YouTube has promoted that says one face gets more clicks than no faces, and two faces get more clicks than one face in a thumbnail. So as far as
really?
I feel like thumbnails.
So I should put two of the same face.
Just like just shocked or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Just do what Graham Stephan does and use the same face template for all the videos for next year.
Every single. Yeah. But no, that I would say that's my only critique, because I feel like it's very hard to stand out in thumbnails, and I have had a lot of ethical, like, is putting a shocked face on a thumbnail to get somebody to click a good idea? But like I have noticed a material increase in views since.
Gotcha.
And it's like, you're not changing your content, you're still being you, but there is something about seeing a human's face that humans want to click on other humans. And like I was so against this for a long time, but that's my only like.
When you two changed your fonts, one of you changed your fonts. That was the only way I could tell whose video I was about to watch. I'm being completely honest. Once when you guys,
I remember that.
There was a time when you guys had neck to neck, like same style.
Yeah, we've got a bit more different, which is good.
I like the style, but there was.
I'll just use Sam's face on my thumbnail.
Yeah, I'm gonna
instant
start
270,000 subs right there. Boom, done.
Yeah. Oh my god. We should start. I'm gonna just start putting like PewDiePie's like face on my thumbnail and be like, oh, okay, cool.
PewDiePie reacts to iPhone,
and then be like, what
news?
So when the fonts changed, that helped me find who at a glance. But I say when you made that comment, Sam, I paused for a second. I'm like, would I click on a face more? I don't. Maybe I have to sit on that, but I do know that I know what I'm walking into when I know for sure, like, oh, this is Drew's video. Because the one thing that I honestly did encounter was like, oh, hey, Drew put something out. Oh, it's never mind. I see your little intro. I'm like, oh, never mind. And vice versa. I click on yours, like, and it's just you. I'm like, oh, okay, so all right, I'm here. All right, let's do this.
Drew, I want to apologize. I think that I stole way too much of what you were doing, but I did it in a way that I didn't.
I was going to say the same thing.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
No, I've ran into the exact same thing with your videos where you post something and I can remember at least 5 or 6 times where you posted a video and I had to actively change my thumbnail because we had the exact same, and I was uploading. It was like minutes away from posting.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me change.
It's crazy. It
like,
is funny how similar we think, but
I blame Apple for not giving us more stock photos of the new product that they announced. It's Apple's fault.
I do too.
Come on, Apple.
It's
Apple's fault.
Anytime if there's a PNG on their site, I am the first person to download it. They're like, why does this like guy randomly like go to our separate photo URL with just the photo to save it? Like what, because the PNGs, the sweet PNGs, dude.
Yeah. They are good.
Oh,
don't worry about it though. I've done the same thing.
One more question, Drew. Oh wait, can I? Okay, right. I want to ask 2 more questions, or one comment, one question.
You can ask as many questions as you want.
First of all, what is the official font of Telosive Tech? Have you ever answered that question?
Ooh,
it's changed.
Okay.
It's changed a few times. I think there are certain thumbnails that are more hypothetical, and I'll use the Nexa font from Over. That's more bold and italicized, and other times when I'm trying to be more conceptual of like, this is what the Apple product will look like, I will use the San Francisco text that Apple uses so that it looks more official. Yeah. So for a while I used lemon milk, but then I just got tired of lemon milk and I was like, it's too repetitive and I wanted to mix it up. So there's no official font, but there probably should be. Yeah. I should probably just pick one and stick with it.
I was curious.
Mine's Lulo.
There you go.
Nice, right?
Lulo, and I scroll up to the one that's all filled in, because then it gives me the most customized when I want to compact it more or expand it. So
nice.
Fair enough.
Mine is
it's a good choice.
Roboto bold italicized with -4 character spacing. That is the
Wow.
exact.
Let me write that down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I use it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What color did you say that was, Sam?
Hashtag F2F2F2 specifically.
Maybe someday we should just pick the exact same thumbnail and post at the exact same time and just confuse both of our audiences. And they're like,
all right,
wait.
April Fools, I'm 100% in. I've got a lot of ideas for what I want to do on April 1st this year.
we'll schedule them too. They're like both at 12 p.m. They'll just both write at the exact same time.
We should have a script in the video and make it the exact same content. And just, yeah. My comment was, Telosa VV is going to explode. And I want you to hear that from me first.
Okay.
Those videos are awesome.
Thank you.
Started and ended my EV channel before you.
You ended it?
I have not posted there in like months.
I knew you weren't as active there. I just didn't know is it officially over or?
In my head, it's over, and it's been over for a couple months. You know that thing
Gotcha.
when you have something.
I'm the same way with my gaming channel.
Yeah, like when you have that thing that you're like, I should post because like it does well. But what I found was just that I wasn't enjoying it, which was weird.
Okay.
Like
interesting.
It felt like a chore, and I would feel very stressed when I was recording for some reason. And like the dislike ratio on my videos were just like kind of high. Like it was very weird because I was like, if I only saw this feedback on the EV channel, I would have been like, maybe I don't do YouTube. Like maybe I'm not cut out. Like there was significant more hate. I think it's also just because I was a little bit more uninformed and was trying to pass as being informed.
Well, I have that problem every day.
Yeah.
Oh, you've watched our podcast. Nah. We have a regular
people,
Drew.
Car people are a different beast.
You're right.
And
I completely agree. It's a very, very different market. Yes.
To this day, I go to my Cybertruck video, and the first thing I get is, "You're stupid for trying to make that park in a garage." I'm like, why is that so controversial?
No.
But all the negative I get about it with car people is like, they don't belong in a garage. It's supposed to be
very. I think it's an older demographic, not to hate on the older, but I think that the tech community has a lot more teenage and tween years watching that are more into AirPods and iPhones than EVs because that's just so off to them. But that's funny though that you're kind of Well,
I don't know why I haven't enjoyed it, but like I noticed I was like going through the motions. I was like, I should post. I think this is a good idea, and it like. I just sort of.
Well, if you're not enjoying it, that's what matters most.
I came to the conclusion where I was just like, because I don't know if you noticed this, but the CPM on those EV videos was significantly higher for me than on my actual.
Oh, it was for me too.
Is it remain that way, or is it?
I don't look anymore, so I don't know for sure. But I did notice
the biggest payout I ever got was because of the Cybertruck video, and I was like, whoa. And that was the first indicator. I was like, I unfortunately, I'm sorry for you not enjoying it because I'm like, for me, it's like I like this content, and to see that type of payout as opposed to what I was used to seeing covering tech with like for the podcast, I'm thinking like, ooh, this actually has real potential, and it's something.
Yeah, you started that channel before I had an EV channel, so Sam, I can credit you for that idea.
Do you, since we have you here and you're not going to cover it then, have you been enjoying your Model 3?
Dude, I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
good.
I just want to know if the passion is still there.
That could go either way. The way he was like,
weird. Okay, after having this conversation, I'm like, I need to give this another shot. Like, I can't throw it. And now later today, I'm like, what am I going to make a Tesla video about? But I don't see myself ever owning a daily driver car other than a Tesla for the rest of my life.
100%.
Do you agree, Randy?
That's amazing.
Yes, 100%.
If you have $40,000 to spend on a car, and you're like a normal person, like you've been saving up, you got 40 grand that you want to spend on a car, it does not make sense to buy any other car than a Model 3. And that is just the truth. Like. True.
I think I agree.
I don't know what to say. I got my parents. So funny story that I've never shared. Got my parents to get a Model Y.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
They love it.
Nice.
My dad, who has been a Toyota person for his entire life and would never buy anything but Toyota because they're so reliable.
Welcome to the family.
Got him to get to American made, which is crazy also to be like, I'm proud to drive American made. That's something I never thought I'd say. And
Right.
like they love it to death. And now my dad, well, sad ending to the story, a tree fell on them when they were driving and totaled the car.
Oh my God. Wow.
So they were literally leaving a park, and by some
Holy crap.
freak incident, they were at the perfect spot when a tree fell down because of high wind.
Oh
They're
my
okay.
goodness.
But like glass roof was a bit sketchy because glass shattered everywhere. Car ends up getting totaled, and they love the Tesla so much that they bought the exact same configuration when they got the insurance money.
Okay, good. I was
So,
going to say, I hope the insurance
And my
kicked
dad
in.
told me when we were driving in his Toyota that he still has the other day, he was like, dude, I don't know how much longer I can keep this car. Like, he's like,
What Toyota is it?
It's like a Camry. Like it's a good.
Does it matter?
It's a good hybrid
Well,
Camry.
it matters because my wife has a Yaris, and every time I get in it, I just it's like nails to the chalkboard. I'm like, ew, shifting gear.
Dude,
I don't know how much longer I want to hold on to our Toyota, but it's there.
dude, I mean, like I have been like, I want the better Tesla now. Like I'm in the 3, and I'm like, this is great. What's an X like?
Now
like,
I want more.
Like what's like, because I've never experienced faster than 4 seconds 0 to 60 in my car. Like I've never experienced the 2.3 in an S, and I'm like, I want that. You know, so there's that part of me that's like, I really want that. There's
Yeah,
the other
you
part
still
of
got
me-
the bug. You're still hooked.
Oh, no, yeah.
Your channel's not dead. You're just not. You're not
just
talking
not
to the right
uploading.
people to keep. You're not
He's got
talking
a
to the
lot on
right
his
people
plate.
who motivate you. Honestly, again, it goes back to the Apple Track, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I commend you for doing it because that I understand priorities. I get it, and there's there is a business formula to go with and stuff like that. I think you would do well if just hearing how you talk about just with yours. I think if you want it, if the time comes and you get free time like that.
Yeah. Thanks.
I would like to see. I like watching Drew's EV. I like watching EVs in general, so I'm biased about that. But just knowing how you cover the tech stuff, I would genuinely enjoy and look forward to watching anything EV.
I
or
loved
Tesla
it.
related. Yeah,
I remember finding it before you really talked much about it.
I should restart it. I should really give it another go.
Well, make sure there's some time for you too, because I know you got a lot on your plate, and I don't. It's not healthy for you to overwork yourself as someone who's done that myself. So I don't feel like you have to. If you just make sure whatever you're doing, you're enjoying it, and that comes first, and then financial situation worry about itself later.
cool.
Mm-hmm. But thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you're ever looking for a road trip to make with the Model 3, let me know.
Yeah. Are you getting yours soon? I know you've been talking about it.
Not real.
Okay.
Not really. Just
No,
I've
we're
discovered
his
I can
token
get
friends where he'll just come and
right. That's the funny thing is EV's doing so well and without an EV in it.
Yeah, that's so funny, but that's the beauty of it. Like,
yeah, I'm kind of getting the milk for free without buying a cow right now. So that's where I am with the. I just don't drive is the thing. I'm
fair.
driving less than 5 miles a day now. So
that makes it hard to justify a 40+.
It's very hard to just.
investment.
It would be a very fun toy. I don't deny that, but it's an expensive toy, and I'm pretty convinced that the longer I can wait, similar to the Apple Silicon Max, the longer you can wait, the better product you're going to get. And if you're in no hurry, then don't feel like you have to upgrade right away. But yeah, we got to have them on the EV podcast next.
Yeah,
I know for sure. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, this went way longer than I thought it was going to, but I appreciate you making the time for us, Sam, and I wish you all the best. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.